What's going on, my fellow A-plussers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A+ More Phenomenal, your weekly stop for your Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, now Ultraman news and reviews right here on our YouTube page. Going live today, ladies and gentlemen, along with going live over on our Facebook page. So wherever you're certainly joining us from, guys, thank you so much for certainly joining us here this weekend. Hopefully kicking your week off right, because guess what, guys? A Dino Fury is back, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you want to wait till Netflix, whether you want to wait till Nickelodeon, it don't matter. Today is the day when we officially start rolling out brand new episodes, as Nickelodeon wind up airing episode number 12, Super Hotshots. Majority of the nation has probably already watched these episodes from all the international spoilers that we've certainly gotten, but not me. I like to cut that shit off quick and actually sit down and watch these episodes as they air, certainly here in the States. It's been difficult to duck and dodge all the spoilers on Twitter, but I got my hashtags muted. I've been keeping my blinders on. Unfortunately, I've had to mute some people that I like to follow on a regular basis, but it's all good. Dino Fury is here with brand new episodes. So if you were up early this morning and got the opportunity to watch Power Rangers Dino Fury, I am very eager to know what you guys thought about this particular week's episode. And I do think going forward, even though Netflix, just so you know, episode 12 did air today on Nickelodeon, but if you want to watch the entirety of the second half of season 1 next Friday, October 15th, if I'm not mistaken, let me go ahead and pull up my calendar here. Next Friday, yes, the 15th will in fact be Netflix airing the second half of season 1 on Netflix. So you'll get all episodes 12 through 22 available for you guys before Nickelodeon even comes back next week with its 13th episode. So if anything, I think review-wise, we are in fact going to be tackling episode 12 for you guys today, as we're going to be getting into that. But I do think I might continue to just stick along with the release schedule for Nickelodeon in regards to the reviews in which I do. I may already have binged the entire season of Dino Fury, but in regards to my reviews, I might actually go ahead and just release them or talk about them here weekly for you guys as Nickelodeon drops those episodes. Yeah, it should be a great episode. Guys, listen, we've got a stacked show for you guys today, and not so much like a bunch of topics, but some fire topics to talk about. Not only are we going to be getting into Dino Fury episode 12 review, we've got some potential Power Ranger adaptation rumors that are certainly going around lately. We'll dive into that in regards to Zyuohger as well. And then, of course, we got some great tokusatsu information for you guys. A brand new 10 Gokaiger movie trailer wind up dropping this week. We're certainly going to talk about and some big advancement for Kamen Rider in regards to its reach when it comes to here in the States, and a couple of other things here or there, and of course your guys' live viewer question. So if you guys do have a live viewer question, feel free to send them over at any particular point in time to aplusmorephenomenal@gmail.com. Again, aplusmorephenomenal@gmail.com, because we do get a lot of people in our live chat. I may not be able to get to everybody's comments to discuss them, but if you definitely have a question or comment that you certainly want to make sure it gets on the air, feel free to go ahead and submit your questions over to us. So thank you very much, guys. I know we got a couple of live people in the chat with us here today. Listen, things are in a work in progress here at my little home office that I'm trying to put together here. It's been kind of crazy, clearly, with the baby on board news that we wind up having for you guys a couple of weeks ago. It's been crazy around the household trying to get other things taken care of. But I finally at least got the back wall painted, but I'm not done yet. The next step is going to really test my artistic skills. As for those of you who are wondering what exactly I'm trying to design back here on this back wall, if you guys have been following us for quite some time, you remember my past channel, A+ Opinions, over on YouTube. It's still pretty much A+ Opinions is really our umbrella, if you will, that harbors A+ More Phenomenal and A+ Hero Report. So I'm actually trying to do the design of the pop art on my back wall. Now, I'm not trying to paint or create the A+ logo back there. That's something that I probably will be ordering in regards to like a wall sticker or a vinyl sticker or something like that, something I can put up on the wall. But I've got the blue background ready. The next up is the polka dots, is in fact the highly detailed stenciling that's certainly about to happen around here. So probably going to try and work on that sometime this week. Probably going to be very meticulous because I don't want to jack this up. I'm not the most artistic in regards to painting. So keep your fingers crossed, guys. Keep your fingers crossed because I would like to put on my back wall that whole sort of backdrop for A plus more phenomenal. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I guess we'll see how it goes. But yeah, before we get into our main topics, guys, you know how we love to do around here because you guys join us in our live chat. We got to show some love. We got to show some love to people that spend their quality time, especially on a Saturday afternoon when they could be out enjoying the weather, doing something athletic, you know, taking in that breath of fresh air. Instead, you guys are chilling with me talking about Power Rangers this weekend. So I got to give you guys some shout outs for certainly coming through today. We got Frankie in the house. What's up, Frankie? Isaiah, good to see you in here, buddy. As always, Johnny Marrero. What's up, Johnny? Good to see you, man. We got Jennings in the house. Thank you very much. I feel like we've seen you in here trickling in from time to time, Jennings. So thank you very much. Blossom, Miss L'Oreal, what's going on? Ice Cream Man is in the house. Nobody go into his van, please. Bacon and Sushi, good to see you around here. Adam Perea, my cousin from another side of the family. Power Rangers legacy, it's morphin time. Thank you very much for certainly coming through. Matthew, it's so good to see you, man. I get your questions all the time, or at least when you comment on our videos. So thank you very much, Matthew, for making it in here for a live episode this week. So Rob's in the house. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says, hopefully your PC isn't playing games with you again. Today, so far so good. If I had a wooden table to knock on just to be on the safe side, I would, Sarav. Who else we got? Brian Lee's in the house. Thank you very much, man. Emmanuel is certainly in here. JB says, what? Is in the house with us today as well. We got production company back-to-back hitting us, guys. Shadowed Over Productions and Edward Sanchez Production, who I got the opportunity to meet a couple of weeks ago over in at the Fan Expo Dallas. Really cool to bump into you there. And then let's see. Okay, I think that's everybody. Listen, guys, if you're in the live chat, if you continue to support this channel, do us a big favor. Hit that like button, guys. It definitely does go a long way, along with leaving some comments maybe after this video certainly aired. All that definitely helps the algorithm and views for sure. And then we've got the JPN in the house. What's up, man? Thank you very much for certainly coming through. I just want to call you the Japan, if that's okay. It just flows so much easier. But it's good to see everybody. Why you don't love me, man? No, I love you, AJ. I say, what's up, Bacon and Sushi? I thought I put you up there. But yeah, no, wait. I changed my name because you kept what? I changed my name because you kept mistaking me for the other guy. Okay, whatever, Bacon and Sushi. Anyway, all right, guys. So yeah, believe it or not, it's that time of the year again, guys. Dino Fury returns. I know after a while, we forget that Power Rangers is even on TV because the hiatus is so damn long. I know things have been kind of confusing this season because of the fact that with the Nickelodeon contract ending, Netflix soon eventually beginning here, right? We've been finding out that Nickelodeon really doesn't even have the streaming rights anymore for Dino Fury, which is why we've had Dino Fury on Netflix maybe as early as June this year. When you know the season rollouts and things like that, it's been kind of confusing for us Power Ranger fans. But that time is now, when in fact the series is in fact back, and I'm pumped, guys. I'm pumped. So today, Dino Fury episode number 12. We're going to go ahead and get into it. I've missed this overlay. I always get so hyped when it's an A+ more phenomenal and I click that button and the Dino Fury overlay comes on to start talking about it. I absolutely love it. I had to go ahead and put my girl Izzy in here. Show her some love for this episode that she wind up having the focus on here. Representing, check out Carson's Corner, guys, if you want to go ahead and grab one of these Dino Fury shirts. Also, shout out to Carson's Corner, by the way. He's doing some incredible work. I know he's been kind of bogged down with personal things in life. So yeah, definitely go ahead and show your support to his channel or his page whenever you get a chance. Go ahead and purchase some stuff if you guys want. He's got some fire Dino Fury stuff. If you guys are big fans of Dino Fury, I highly recommend checking out just some of the products that he certainly has over there. So let's talk about this, man. Episode number 12, Super Hotshots. While this episode doesn't blow me away, I definitely have my issues with this episode. It's just great, first and foremost, to just even get a new episode of Dino Fury. So I'm forever thankful for that. So while this episode doesn't necessarily blow me away, I do love the fact that there are two things that happen in this episode that feel kind of unique to me. We didn't get ourselves a Zord battle this episode, which I'm trying to go back and think about the other episodes of Dino Fury. I'm trying to remember if we've had an episode with no Zord battle. And I can't recall. If there is one, go ahead and let me know in the prior first 11 episodes of this. So I thought that was pretty interesting that we actually got through an episode without the regular formula of Power Rangers of like villain of the week, Zord battle, saving the day sort of mentality. We didn't even get much of that. Even the villain of the week this week, the Fog Shell, I believe is what his name was, actually lives to see another day. Didn't get defeated by here. His Sporex is certainly still out there. I understand, especially when it comes to Nickelodeon's formula, they're not really big fans of like two-parters. They really want stories kind of contained into its own episode. So the fact alone that no Zord battle, they didn't defeat the main monster here in this week in Fong Shell, which, if you ask me, the main villain in here was probably Coach Bella. But the Fog Shell lives to see another day. So I'm definitely expecting him to maybe pop up in next week's episode. Maybe we have a little bit of a uh I don't know, like a two-parter of this character or whatever the case may be. So pretty interesting in regards to them trying to change up the formula, but still sticking true to whatever it is that Nickelodeon has thing like their check mark in regards to what's okay for them to finish off an episode in. So I was kind of surprised. And I think even for me, the ending of this episode came out of nowhere. I thought I had like 5 extra minutes, and I was like, oh, that's the end of the episode. Okay. I mean, listen, I dig it. I dig the sort of laid backness of it, right? Allowing sort of other aspects of the episode to certainly shine, knowing that you can have a semi-successful Power Ranger episode without all the big flashiness, right? I mean, I think if anything, what kind of took over for the lack of Zord battles was probably the reintroduction of the Dino daggers, which I was so glad that we got the opportunity to see here. Although I would like to see them utilized in other ways, except for just being thrown. I mean, granted, daggers are certainly meant to be thrown, but I would love to see it utilized as sort of like a short sword or something like that. But we haven't seen the Dino Dagger since I believe episode number 1. So the fact that they really heavily used it in this episode, I was appreciative of it. Getting the opportunity to see the Izzy, or I should say the Garcia family, utilizing their daggers at first, and then the rest of the Dino Fury team following Izzy's lead in regards to trying to take down Slither and the plan that he certainly had here this week. So I think the introduction to the Dino daggers in here really worked. A cool original footage for them to certainly utilize. They even appreciated some of the original footage that we got for the Garcia family versus Slither in here. Great usage of Super Sentai and original footage. But I think the little brief fight sequences, I think anytime we get original footage, really does go a little bit of an extra way, especially when it comes to Dino Fury. Like, they have such a great second unit director that brings some great techniques and just originality to his fight sequences, that I almost want to see more. Not to say that they're lacking when it comes to original fight footage. They're definitely doing an amazing job, but I always love seeing that more than even how they're going to adapt the Sentai fight footage, if you will. And so I thought the original fight stuff that we got in here was pretty good for the most part, to certainly say the least. But yeah, I appreciate the switch up. Not that necessarily, and I think if there was anything that really faulted me in this episode that kind of took me out, I really wasn't the biggest fan of the dialogue either in this episode. Some stuff was just maybe too on the nose. Some cringeworthy dialogue I felt probably more in the beginning of this episode, not so much the later half, but the beginning, like the peanut butter and jelly line by Ollie was a little bit rough to swallow and get through. Seeing maybe even the overperformance of the actress that played Coach Bella in here, like just the overhypeness. Like, granted, I get the idea of wanting to hype up your gym mates, but I don't know if it was just the way that it was shot, the way that it was acted and performed. Maybe if it was just the dialogue and stuff. Give you guys a round of applause. Commitment, 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 commitment. Oh, that's 4 words. Like, it's just sometimes the acting from Coach Bella in here was a little bit too over the top, right? Like they really did not. There was no gray area here. Like you immediately knew Coach Bella was like a douchebag, right? Like there was just, oh, that watch looks pretty cool. Like what, we're bargaining now for people's property in order to become a member of your gym? Like, okay, you're a bad guy. Like, and she's not even trying to hide it, guys. Right? Like, I mean, talking about other people in front of Izzy when Izzy comes into her office, sort of thing. Not even like whispering, like, "Hey, super hot shot, you're the best person in class," and then literally 3 feet over, "Hey, super hot shot, you're the best." Like, come on, like. And I just feel like Coach Bella, if she truly acts this way in front of everybody, there's no way that she's becomes as successful of a of a coach as they certainly make her out to be in here. So it sometimes just felt too on the nose. It's like I won't even insinuate or hint at the idea that I'm a big jerk. I'm just going to show you immediately. That's why I was saying this episode truly didn't need a villain of the week, because the villain of the week really turns out to be Coach Bella. And I got to say though, I really love the her stepping up. I mean, we get the idea of seeing her wanting to go ahead and step up her training in here. She's clearly a very serious competitor. We've seen that so far. They've already sort of dropped those breadcrumbs for us throughout this particular season, right? With not only her race that we saw her in, but also, how she trains with the Sarah Dalton character. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head. I'm drawing a blank here, guys. But we've definitely seen that competitive side when it comes to even when we get the opportunity to see Zato, meeting her for the first time to go ahead and interview her in like episode 4. We see how serious she certainly takes her training in here. So it makes sense that she definitely wants to go ahead and take it up a notch, take it to the next level. And so I love the idea that she's taking that initiative in this episode for sure. And I really appreciated the fact that we got some great and solid like supporting characters. Fern is certainly coming back. Now, granted, I have been kind of spoiled in regards to episode 14, so I know exactly where that certainly leads to. But I like the idea that this is now Fern's second appearance in here. I do expect her to certainly pop up maybe a few more times throughout this season, which will definitely be appreciated. But it shows to me that they're leading up to something and not just plopping it out of nowhere, right? The idea that they're reintroducing Fern, I think, is a really great way to go ahead and eventually lead to that storyline. And then, of course, we got Adrian in here too. So I like the fact that we're not just focusing on our 5 Rangers. We are introducing other supporting characters, and I think they've done a pretty good job in regards to that, especially this series, when you got somebody like Pop Pop, who's been a great sort of supporting character all season long. The addition of Fern and Adrian, I think, will really go a long way in regards to at least allowing our Rangers to have other people to perform and have chemistry with on screen instead of just their own teammates and things like that. So I really did appreciate it. But getting the opportunity to see the struggle that I think Izzy certainly has to deal with wanting to be committed to getting better, but at what point is it too much, and do you realize that this person is just kind of taking advantage of you, right? And I do think that this episode kind of speaks to maybe a lot of trainers, maybe a lot of influencers and stuff that you might see on social media, right? I think sometimes we can get blinded by all the positivity or maybe even fake positivity that people kind of give us, when at the end of the day all they truly care about is sort of our money and us supporting them sort of mentality. You know what I mean? Not really caring too much about a particular person. And I think some people do fall into those traps. And so I do like the idea that this episode at least kind of brings that to people's attention a little bit. But seeing the idea of Izzy understanding the pushback that Coach Bella's certainly given her, really understanding just how much she truly doesn't even care about these competitors, but really just wants the money. I think she really goes a long way in regards to at least holding Coach Bella accountable, right? And calling her out. And if there is anybody that's going to call anybody out. It definitely is Izzy, just based off of her personality alone, which I enjoy. I think it makes Izzy certainly original in the fact that she's willing to step up to protect her friends, not let somebody get away with doing this to people. And I think that's something that we might be even be missing in societies these days, is the opportunity to hold people accountable when they do something wrong. You know what I mean? And so to be able to have Izzy step up, even to the point of having the confidence in herself to be the trainer, right? We see her helping the Power Rangers train, doing some stretching in the very beginning of this episode. And I think the idea that she's, one, already helpful, two, she's already seen how everybody's been mistreated, but three, knowing that you're probably fully capable of helping these people train and get better also, I think really speaks volumes for who the Izzy Garcia character is. And I think it also goes to show her character, the fact that she goes out of her way to get the watch back for Adrian, who Adrian had to go ahead and give up his watch just to join the freaking gym club. Again, I mean, just so on the nose. I mean, my goodness, talk about a con woman at her finest. Talking behind people's back. Oh, you'll be surprised at all the stuff that people will give you in order to become a part of this gym. Yeah, I bet. Like, I'm kind of like, your whole outfit was probably purchased by somebody else, man. Like, it's yeah, pretty disgusting, and kind of see what Coach Bella did. But again, there was a part of me that wishes it was a little bit more subtle, right? Something that really had to be discovered in regards to Coach Bella, whereas Coach Bella just let you know right off the bat, like, yeah, I'm kind of an asshole. I'm kind of an asshole to people. And she definitely showcased that here in this episode. But yeah, really enjoyed the aspect of what we're going to be getting here with Izzy. And I will say this, there is a particular shot that I thought was rather interesting in this episode that I want to go ahead and bring to your guys' attention, as once Izzy winds up actually getting her brand new workout gear for the gym, along with Zato, who winds up joining them. They're checking themselves out in the mirror, and Izzy winds up striking this pose, which for those of you who watch Super Sentai might recognize this pose, and I got a little bit of a chuckle out of it. I don't necessarily even know if Tessa Rao or whoever directed her to do this move. I don't even know if this was an ad lib move, something that she just put on herself, or if the director or whoever told her, hey, bust out this move real quick. But I found it interesting that she tackles this move, because for those of you who are big fans of Kara Major, we Kara Major also has a Green Ranger by the name of Cena. And she's also into track and field and an athlete herself. And her henshin sequence, when she actually transforms into Kara May Green, she busts out this move. For those of you who've seen it, she literally goes boom. She hits it. She hits it every time that she henshin sequences, and it's just fascinating to me that we've got a Karame female green here and a Dino Fury female green here busting out the same move. So I don't know if that's just eerie coincidence, or if somebody actually directed her to pull that out as a cool homage to Cena from Caramasia. But if not, I mean, granted, I feel like people probably do that anyway. But I just thought it was pretty cool, considering that we've never had a female green before in our ranks, and the fact that now that we have one, and it sort of links up to Karame Green here, I thought was pretty cool in its own right. Let's see here. What else do we have to talk about in here? Oh, quick honorable mention. Buzz Blast must pay great, guys, because these Rangers have no problem dishing out money to help their friends. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But I mean, listen, first it was the $5 or $10 to the sidekick from Ollie to Amelia. Then we had them all chipping in to purchase Javi a new guitar, and now everybody's pitching in to purchase a new workout suit for Izzy. I mean, truly great friends, guys. Talk about truly being supportive of one another. And the fact that she wind up using that money not for a new workout suit, but to go ahead and get Adrian's get his watch back, I thought really spoke volumes, honestly. Let's see here. I gotta say, the Slither and Mucus stuff, I really enjoyed here this week. I thought it was a pretty fun plan of theirs to go ahead and sort of intercept the Power Rangers hotline phone calls in order for them to go ahead and actually get the jump on getting the Sporks for themselves before the Power Rangers even arrive. Like, I am kind of curious as to how much that plan actually worked, because I would like to see that power level for Void Knight go up just a little bit just from this episode alone, because it seems like they definitely had some fun. Like, even Slither's either hearing Zato's voice complimenting Slither, I thought was pretty funny. And then even seeing Mucus's impression of the Red Ranger whenever Amelia winds up calling him to go ahead and kind of set up the trap, right? Once they figure out what's certainly going on here. But yeah, I love Mucus trying to impersonate Zato or the Red Ranger over the phone. I thought super creepy, but I appreciate the attempt. I appreciate the attempt, to certainly say the least. And it is one of those things where, because of the fact that I truly continue to really love Mucus along with Slither, and him being such the showman that he is, there is an episode in Real Soldier towards the end of the season or the series itself where Slither has like a stage show performance, sort of as like his last battle, right? Like his last fight with the Real Soldiers. He goes ahead and has like this big stage performance and stuff. And considering the fact that we have seen a musical episode already from Beast Morphers, I really would love to see them. It may not necessarily have to be shot for shot like the Super Sentai or even using Super Sentai footage, but I really would love to see this crew try to go ahead and pull off a big Slither moment like that in regards to his stage performance that he winds up giving in Real Soldier. I certainly do hope that it makes a comeback at some particular point in time in this series. So I mean, even the idea of like Slither bragging about his actions in here, like when he goes and he starts fighting with the Garcia siblings and he escapes, he's like what does he say? He says, let me see. Oh, he says, and then he says, and then I said, now you don't, because I think he did like a magic trick to go ahead and escape the green and black ranger. And he says, now you see me, now you don't. And then he's gone. I love the fact that the next shot comes in of Slither bragging to Mucus about his battle with black and green. The fact that he continues his story in there, it just goes to show you like the showmanship, the confidence that Slither has in himself, and the humor that certainly really does go a long way with these two characters. So I love the fact that they're really a comedy duo almost to their own extent. The Jane and Jay Borg stuff, I didn't really care for this much. The Cyber Coach, it was whatever. I chuckled a little bit, but outside of that, they didn't really do anything for me this week, which I'm not complaining about. I think if anything, it definitely helped the episode move along a little bit better. I'm not, I don't mind Jen and Jay Borg. They definitely do it for me here this season. I know some people certainly feel a certain type of way about them sort of being that comedy duo, but I do think from time to time they actually do hit the nail on the head. So I don't mind them so much, and their lack of inclusion in here didn't bother me, because I'm sure we'll probably get more of them as the season certainly progresses. But yeah, man, overall, I think if anybody really stood out, it certainly was the Izzy character, standing up to Coach Bella, understanding that, yeah, while she certainly wants to go ahead and get better, it's certainly not worth this, right? This opportunity to be lied to be, boosted up only to really the person not really care about coaching you or whatever the case may be. So I think if anything really took me out of this episode, again, it's probably the dialogue was a little bit cringeworthy, and there was some overacting and performances in here. But again, it is, at the end of the day, Dino Fury and Power Rangers is a kid show. So the idea of really making Coach Bella as obvious as a villain shouldn't surprise me, because I think if they're trying to appeal to 5 or 6 year olds to let them know, hey, people like this are evil, I think they did a pretty good job in regards to that. But for me, a little bit too overacted, and some of the dialogue was a little bit cringeworthy in here. But outside of that, I really love the Izzy stuff, the Fern, the Adrian stuff, really building a supporting cast and group of friends for these characters to certainly build off of. So I think for me, that's definitely a win at the end of the day. But listen, what do you guys think? Again, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I definitely want to go ahead and know yours. When it comes to episode 12 of Super Hotshots, did you love it? Did you think it was just okay? Did you have any issues, pros, cons? Certainly go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box below, guys. So let's spend a few minutes here just talking about this episode and seeing what you guys are saying in regards to it. I'm kind of curious to know what you guys felt about it as well. So Rob, he says, now that episode 12 was aired in the US, let me be the first one to say that this was the introductory episode Izzy deserved. Yeah, I mean, I thought her introductory episode in episode 4 was fantastic. I thought they did a really great job of introducing her there. I think maybe in the idea of introducing the future Izzy and Fern storyline, yes, I definitely agree in that sense. That I do think that this was a great episode to highlight Izzy as a character, her values, but also at the same time, um, setting up a storyline between Fern and maybe even Adrian at some point in time. So I do think that's important also. Johnny, what's up? Johnny says, I love Izzy, but I'm ready for the second half of Dino Fury on Netflix, and we don't have to rely on Nickelodeon anymore. I mean, hey, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, the second half is certainly here, right? Episode 12 certainly dropped. You also say, I love Izzy in episode 12. Yeah, I thought she did really great, man. Again, the idea of her being able to stand up to somebody that's older than her, that's in a bigger profession, right? That probably has more power than she certainly does. But understanding what's right and wrong and calling somebody out on their BS and holding somebody accountable for their wrong actions, I think really does go a long way. Because nowadays, I think we let people slide, or people with power, we let people slide, don't hold them accountable, right? But that's how you learn, man. Failing is a very valuable lesson, and losing is a very valuable lesson in regards to building you up again as a person, right? Allows you to kind of figure out, one, how to change as a person, or how to change to not only get better but avoid making the same mistakes again. So failure and loss, as much as we hate to have to swallow that stuff or even accept it and admit it, is a really big part of growing up and being a much better person. So who knows if we see Coach Bella later at the end in season 2, that's like, hey, I'm a reformed person now. Who certainly knows? But I think the first step is definitely holding people accountable and certainly sticking up for what's definitely right. And I think Izzy showcased some really great morals and values in this episode for sure. Let's see here. Matthew says, "I love the border you have, especially putting Izzy in the corner, just peeking out." Yeah, I had to go ahead and show her some love. I'm thinking because we've had this border before. Whenever we review Dino Fury stuff, like the first season, the first half of the season. So I thought, why not go ahead and bring it back? And whoever I'm really focusing on the episode, maybe I'll just put them in the little corner here from time to time. So we'll definitely see. We'll see. Appreciate you coming through, Charles. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, Matthew says, I think this is the first time we have no Zords in the episode. Yeah, no, and that's one of the things that really stood out to me in regards to making this episode unique, and something that I did appreciate. The fact, again, that one Fog Shell, the main villain of the week, is coming back at some particular point in time, I would certainly assume. And again, the fact that the fact that he survives, and then of course the idea of no Zords in here, that making it really a focus episode on the characters, I thought really went a long way. Because I think if anything, I think it shows that it's okay to change up the formula, right? To do things vastly different from time to time. And I think if anything, it does lend to allowing them having more time to sort of create these relationships and these moments between these characters, so that maybe when we do lead to a bigger storyline between them all, the fact that they've actually spent more time in trying to get some of these characters together, right? Like the Izzy and Fern stuff, catching up since the last time that they saw each other on the track meet. Even Izzy asking Fern how her ankle was and things like that, right? Just reestablishing those connections with those characters, I think, really go a much longer way than maybe a Zord battle in every single episode. So I really did enjoy it. Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Matthew. He says, I really like the monster escape and essentially making this a two-parter. Yeah, I mean, even though, again, I'm sure Nickelodeon's not necessarily 100% cool with it, but I think the fact that the story arc itself that they had for this episode resolved itself. So I think without technically making it up two-parter, this is like their way of making it a two-parter. Let's just let this guy escape and come back and cause them problems later. I kind of dig it. Shadow Nova says, I didn't even realize there wasn't a Megazord battle this episode. Yeah, like when I watched it the first time, and then when the credits ran, it did take me by surprise. I was like, wait a minute. It's like, I'm done with this episode already. And so when I watched it a second time, I'm like, damn, yeah, like there really was no Zord battle in here at all. But it worked for me. It worked. So Rob says, I also liked Izzy's puppy and cat eyes. Her meow sounded more like a distressed cat, like an alley cat, to me than anything. But listen, Tessa Rao's gorgeous, right? Like she can pull off any puppy or cat eyes any day, I'm sure. What's up, Datilla? Appreciate you certainly coming through. Appreciate you coming through. Johnny says Coach Bella was a jerk. She should be arrested. She got away. I didn't like that, but I'm glad Izzy stood up for herself. Yeah, not just for herself, but the rest of the crew. And especially Zato too, right? Like the fact that Zato's just kind of chilling back there, checking out Coach Bella and her actions and what she's doing. The fact that, even though he knows that Izzy is really looking forward to this, right? Like really wants to be a part of this gym, knowing the fact that Zato speaks up and lets her know, like, hey, there might be more going on. I think that's even a difficult choice for some people to do, right? Like, you don't want to crush your friend's dreams, but it's probably important that they know that they're not lied to and be honest with them. So I think overall, I think everybody showed really great integrity and great choices in here by our Rangers. And again, I think even going that extra step of giving her funds to get herself a new workout suit, and then her even using that to get Adrian's watch back. I thought they all made some really great decisions in this episode, honestly. Matthew, he says, I really like Fern coming back. Hopefully there will be some good stuff for her. And I think you might be happy then, Matthew, in the direction that it goes the next couple episodes then. Enrique, what's up, Enrique? Appreciate you certainly coming through, man. Blossom says Izzy looks like a Sentai fan to do that move, right? Like when I saw it, I was actually kind of surprised. Blossom says Cena Izzy is like her. Yeah, it's almost on the nose. I mean, Cena's a track and field star. Also a green female ranger. So the fact that she busts out that pose, boom! I every time that's the first person I think of these days is Cena whenever I seen it. Matthew says, "Well, I didn't realize the real soldier and Karamazor tease. Yeah, it's definitely there. Whether or not she means to do it, I have no idea." JB says, Wes says, how does Zato make money is the question. Oh, that's right. He didn't get picked. Wait, did he didn't get picked for the Buzz Blast job, did he? Hmm. I mean, who knows what Zato does late at night? You know what I'm saying? I have no idea. That's a good question, JB. Hey, here's some money that I personally didn't make myself. Maybe he robs people for all we know. Isaiah says, I hit 100 subscribers yesterday. Congrats, man. Congrats. Keep up the good work. Adam Pereira says it's so weird that because of Nickelodeon's contract ending soon, not only we have 12 through 22 coming to Netflix next week, but they're already on YouTube for international viewers and others. Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Hasbro hasn't like copyright hit some of these people, because if you literally want to watch the YouTube, not saying that they should, I'm just saying like I'm honestly surprised that they're pretty cool with the idea of their episodes airing already. I guess if anything, maybe they feel like this is probably going to be the last time that stuff like that probably happens. Like I got to assume that with everything moving to Netflix, that things just continue to air on Netflix sort of all at once kind of going forward. I honestly got to think that this is the last year of international spoilers. So maybe because Netflix or Hasbro knows that they're making that move, that they're just going to let things kind of just fly by this time around, because maybe that's one less thing that they're going to really have to worry about going forward in the future. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure. I feel like any other company would have immediately taken them down, though. Matthew says, I really liked how the Garcias commented on how extra Slither is. Yeah, definitely much so. I do remember that comment in here. And I will say this too. If anything, I personally really like the Garcia family. Like I really do love the Garcia siblings. Like seeing them tackle a monster together always gets me hype. Like just seeing them go into their morphine sequence together. Like they just have such great chemistry and collaborate really well on screen, that I really love seeing them. It's like they really get serious and down to business when it comes to them having to step up and have some fighting. So while this wasn't like my favorite morphine sequence, I will say anytime the Garcia siblings are involved, or it's the two of them tackling something together, I'm a really big fan of it. I'm a really big fan of it. Blossom says it was awesome on how Izzy exposed Bella as a liar. Yeah, I mean, setting her up to call everybody out to the park is like, oh, I see you changed your mind. No, pff, are you kidding me? I came to call your ass out, let everybody know how much of a jerk you are. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Bacon and Sushi says, I still absolutely love that Izzy looks so damn good as the Green Ranger. Speaking about the thumbnail, Adam makes the best thumbnails for Power Rangers YouTube. Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I try. I really try. JB says what? Says this episode was mad. And I agree with you. I agree with you. It has its supporting qualities, but there are some lackluster aspects of this episode. And for me, I thought the cringeworthiness of some of the dialogue, maybe some of the overacting, took me out of it just a bit. I still appreciated the episode for, again, some of the unique formula that it wind up tackling in here, getting the opportunity to showcase Izzy and her personality and some of her values, establishing further supporting characters that are going to have a significant role later on. Those are all things I appreciated. But as far as like an episode goes, yeah, it was just a little bit of a meh episode for me too, JB. So I definitely agree with you there. But I could definitely find some good qualities out of this episode for sure, outside of the other stuff that really gave me some issues. Marcelino, what's up? He says, hopefully Coach Bella doesn't return to become good like Megan. Yeah, man. We all need a Megan in our life. That's funny that you bring her back up, because I did say it's like maybe she comes back all reformed, and the fact that you landed on Megan, that's a good one, man. we'll see. Maybe she learns the error of her ways like Megan did. I'm cool with it. Like, I'm cool if she doesn't come back, though. I truly am. A one-off for me with Coach Bella is personally fine. I did feel like some of the ADR was a little bit off. Like sometimes I could kind of tell, especially for Coach Bella scenes, when like voices that are way too clean um over certain other shots of when she's actually talking in the gym. So I did feel like some of the maybe the I don't know if that's ADR issue or whatever the case may be, but yeah. Oh, and shout out to Zato with his Rocky Balboa boxing skills there, using his strength to go ahead and explode that punching bag, which I think that's I don't know how rare that is to do unless you've got like super strength or something. Ice Cream Man, he says, "Do you think the next season, after both 2 seasons of Dino Fury, will be on Nick still?" No, their contract has ended with Nickelodeon. I'm not expecting them to go back to Nickelodeon, at least not for at least not for the kid television shows. I would assume, if anything, if you're going to be moving season 2 over to Netflix, I would assume the rest of your future seasons would be the same. I could be wrong though. We'll see. Anything can happen and change. Isn't your anniversary on YouTube this year? If so, what would you like to do to celebrate being on YouTube for so long? Maybe show a clip of your younger self. Yeah, actually, I think we did celebrate our 1 year on YouTube. I think last month, I think September, the end of September was our 1 year anniversary for A Plus More Phenomenal. I was really hoping that by that 1 year we would have crossed the 1,000 subscriber threshold. But unfortunately, we're chilling at like 952, I think, right now. So I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you so much, guys. Like I really do. But I think I had my standards a little bit too high in regards to how much growth I wanted to try and have in that first year. But I'll take it, man. I'll definitely take it. I'm certainly glad to be here and certainly glad to have an audience. And you guys certainly coming through each and every week. Now, whether or not I have a celebration or something, who certainly knows? Maybe like a celebration Q&A, or he says maybe show a clip of your younger self. Yeah, maybe I'll find my very first Power Ranger video that I ever did for you guys. Yeah, it says I'm so close to 1K. Yeah, that'll make me eligible also for, I think, super chats, monetizing my videos and stuff. So if you guys, other ways for people to go ahead and certainly support the channel. So yeah, I'm already there, I believe, in regards to like amount of hours or views that the channel has gotten. I mean, we crushed that really early on. But it's just a subscriber count that we're waiting on in order to go ahead and become monetized. So we'll see. We'll see. Frankie says, Izzy's good. Bella is a big liar and a loser. Yeah. Tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. All right, guys. I think other than that, though, I think that's certainly going to go ahead and wrap it up for our Dino Fury review. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly coming through. And I'm really eager to get into the remainder of the season with you guys. So again, even though Netflix will in fact be dropping all the episodes October 15th, 12th through the 22nd, if anything, we will be at least following the Nickelodeon schedule in regards to dropping reviews for you guys, so that each week you come back for an episode of A Plus More Phenomenal, you guys got yourself a Dino Fury review waiting for you guys. So I think that's how we're going to go ahead and do that, certainly going forward. He does say is Coach Bella hot? I kind of think Coach Bella is pretty attractive, though. I can't lie. As much as of a loser and an asshole and the jerk that she certainly is, yeah, she's pretty attractive. Datilla says you will get monetized. You'll see. I'm hoping so. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Listen, I got a baby on the way. You know what I'm saying? Any extra funds and support for the channel that can go to not only boosting our product here and our production, but also getting some extra diapers and wipes for this baby will certainly go a long way in the future, guys. So I'm excited and scared out my mind. So yeah, guys, continue to support this channel. And listen, if you continue to love our content, feel free to share these videos, guys. Feel free to talk about this show over on social media, send links, whatever the case may be. Certainly help us grow. I definitely depend on you guys as much as myself. So thank you very much for all your guys' continued support. Like, it truly does go a long way, and it's certainly appreciated each and every week when you guys join me. So just know that. And then yeah, definitely, of course, hitting that like button along with that um bell notification. My mom pops in. What's up, mom? She says, okay, you crazy. Extra support for diapers. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Every bit goes a long way, mom. Just saying. But yeah, thank you very much. All right, guys. With that out of the way, though, again, we definitely look forward to a new episode of Dino Fury next week. But we've got some other stuff to certainly talking about. And the next one is just as big as Dino Fury returning, guys. Listen, there's been a lot of rumblings over the past several weeks. I believe Toku Chris might have talked about this. I believe I did miss his talk on it, but there are rumblings happening in regards to the future after Dino Fury and what it could potentially be looking like in regards to the next season after Dino Furies, is we have some rumblings going around that potentially for upcoming adaptation, we could be getting ourselves Zyuohger, perhaps, which I find rather interesting to certainly say the least. So we've got some Zyuohger adaptation rumors that it is in fact time to certainly go ahead and talk about. Because last week, I think after I even wrapped up this show, I went ahead and I listened and jumped over to the Illuminati's YouTube channel. I believe they're going to be talking about Zyuohger this afternoon also. So who knows? Joe and that crew might have more details after we talk about this, and it might just lead to more discussion next weekend for us also. So we'll see what the Illuminati talks about next week. But Toku Chris and the Illuminati have both brought this up about Zyuohger possibly being the next season adapted. One of the rumors that's currently going on, or one of the tidbits of information that's going around, is the fact that when it comes to rights that Hasbro certainly owns, I believe Joe from the Illuminati mentions that that Hasbro could potentially have the rights all the way up until Real Soldier. They did mention the fact that there was a discussion as to what season was going to be adapted at the time between Zyuohger and Dino Fury. So apparently Zyuohger was in fact on the table of being adapted, but they decided to go ahead and go with dinosaurs, which is something that we talked about when it was announced, right? Like, why would Hasbro want to go ahead and tackle Real Soldier? It could very well be in part with the idea of, like, one, dinosaurs is always super popular amongst kids, right? Always a big money maker, but also the idea of maybe wanting to put your own stamp on a dino theme for your particular brand, right? So I think it was a great choice. I think it certainly was a great choice in regards to it in hindsight, looking back, especially. But the fact that Zyuohger was an option is interesting to me. We've already seen Simon Bennett over the past couple of weeks knock down the idea of, if there is going to be an adaptation after Dino Fury, what could we potentially get? He winds up shooting down the concept of Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger, along with Q Ranger, right? So if he shuts those down, maybe it definitely at least shortens the amount of options that potentially we could have, right? For me, people have asked me all the time, Adam, if you've had your opportunity to adapt after Dino Fury, which seasons would you certainly go with? And my top three has always been Q Ranger, which unfortunately is clearly not on the docket any longer. And then, of course, Kara Major, as well as Zyuohger. Toku's just way too special for me for them to go ahead and adapt it. I really don't want them to adapt Tokuger, but anything is possible. But from what we've been hearing rumor wise is that when it comes to ownership of the rights, that Hasbro has the rights all the way up at least until Real Soldier. So I do think that that now technically excludes the idea of some of you Zenkaiger fans out there, and even us Kara Major fans that was maybe hoping on the idea of this being sort of a fair not a farewell, but sort of like a homage to Zio or something along those lines, right? So it seems as though Kara Major may also even be out of the running here. So it seems as though, based off of some of the stuff that Toku Chris has talked about, that the Illuminati has certainly hinted at also, Zyuohger might in fact be the next upcoming adaptation because of the fact that they at least will still have the rights to be able to use those particular teams and anything pretty much just even pre Mighty Morphin also, if I'm not mistaken, because I think we've seen them hint at other seasons in what Super Mega Force. We've also seen them utilize these characters in Boom Studios, right? We just saw Flashman utilized in, or AKA Power Rangers Prism, utilized in the Power Rangers Unlimited comic book with the Astronomer and Ecliptor, excuse me. And I've been saying for a while now, like it would not surprise me because I believe the Green Flashman or the Green Prism Ranger actually escapes at the end of Power Rangers Unlimited. So it wouldn't surprise me if Flashman uh, continues to make an appearance at some particular point in time. So I think we have been seeing Hasbro utilize, or at least say, or I should say, at least whether it be Saban or Hasbro, utilize some of these past teams that they certainly have rights to. So the idea of maybe even going back and utilizing a team should not be a surprise to us now, considering the direction in which we saw them take Beast Morphers, right? Beast Morphers was a couple of seasons old, and they still went back to it, to certainly say the least. And it could potentially be doing the same thing when it comes to Zyuohger here. Now, one of the other things that they talked about last week on the Illuminati was the fact that Zyuohger apparently has a built-in anniversary episode also, or movie perhaps. Zyuohger was the 40th anniversary for Super Sentai, so there definitely is something special there that they could potentially do if they certainly wanted to in that regards, to maybe celebrate a 30th anniversary for Power Rangers for Zyuohger if they wanted to go that route. So I find all this stuff rather interesting. One of the things they said as to why they were certainly thinking about going this route was because they felt that Power Rangers was very much sort of in a holding pattern at this particular point in time. That they may not necessarily be completely thrilled with the direction in which maybe the Power Ranger movie script is coming along, maybe wanting to make some improvements or some changes here or there. They also talked about the idea that they felt like the Snake Eyes movie not doing so well in the box office, not necessarily getting the best reviews, also might have been sort of a wrench thrown into their plans, also to make them really kind of step back and want to rework maybe some of their decisions or the creative process certainly going forward, which is okay to me personally, because listen, you only have so many opportunities to fail, right? And you've already done a 2017 Power Ranger movie, which mixed reviews. Some people love, some people weren't the biggest fan of. It clearly didn't do too well at the box office. You really are putting a lot of your eggs into this Power Ranger movie basket, and you want to make sure that everything comes out okay, right? So maybe take your time. Clearly, they're still going to pull the trigger and do whatever they have planned, but you definitely want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, right? And so there may be a delay in regards to how things get trickled out. Maybe this is a reason why they haven't sort of fully landed on a release date as of yet, but still we've got like 2-3 years before anything actually officially happens or drops, sort of thing, right? So there definitely is time. And so because of the fact of Power Rangers being sort of, as they refer to it, sort of as this holding pattern, if you did have to go ahead and adapt another series after Dino Fury, instead of wrapping up with Dino Fury, jumping into the movie, and then sort of unleashing things that roll out after that movie, if things are being put on hold or reworked and you need more time, what better way than to go ahead and at least maybe give us another adaptation in some way or not? Now, whether or not they continue to use Sentai footage, who certainly knows? I think you could probably still pull this off with as little of Super Sentai footage as you possibly can. But I do think that if anything, they still have all the plans in tow for what Hasbro certainly wants to do. And I think if anything, Zyuohger could certainly be a very much a holding pattern season until they definitely get everything in order behind the scenes when it comes to the movie and this upcoming reboot and a reimagining of the movie itself. And I think at the same time, I think for Super Sentai fans, it allows us to get another season of seeing how something might be adapted or at least utilized. And I think maybe giving us an even more proper way of being able to celebrate sort of the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers this way as well. So it should be interesting. Again, I'm just going based off of rumors and things that we're certainly hearing as of right now. Nothing has definitely been confirmed, but there are certainly rumblings going on that Zyuohger could potentially be the next adaptation if that's the case, right? So yeah, again, Hasbro could potentially have the rights all the way up until at least Real Soldier. So anything from Real Soldier back, Hasbro can certainly utilize in whatever way that they certainly would like to. The idea of them, I think the plan is right now, according to Joe from the Illuminati, that yes, things are still in motion for the Hasbro and Toei split or whatever the case may be, or at least the lack of utilizing Super Sentai footage, if you will. But with Hasbro having the rights to a lot of these characters and costume designs and stuff like that, they certainly could still use them if that's the case. I would assume either they're going to use Sentai footage for something like this, or maybe just the costumes and the Zords, and then just original footage, whatever the case may be. But I'm almost keeping my fingers crossed that if this does come to fruition and we do get ourselves a Zyuohger adaptation, can I please have Simon Bennett back, please? Can I please have Simon Bennett back, please? He's been doing a stellar job with Dino Fury, and it's something that I really would like to see him tackle and continue to sort of be on board with. Like, fans are really reacting fantastically well to what Simon Bennett has created along with these writers and his crew that he's managed to sort of put together. And if they're carrying this great momentum from Beast Morphers, raising it in Dino Fury, let them continue along with that momentum, and hopefully create something here with Zyuohger. So again, rumors as of right now, but maybe we'll eventually go ahead and get some more concrete information. Again, the Illuminati will be talking about Zyuohger later on this afternoon for you guys as well. Maybe Joe's got more secrets and more details and information behind the scenes that he's going to go ahead and dish out. And listen, I think Zyuohger would be a great season. It's one of the reasons why it's my top three, if not top two choices, right? I really would have loved to have seen this. It's one of those things where I was actually surprised that they skipped over it when they did, because I honestly felt like just the themes, the costumes alone fit children just absolutely perfectly. I mean, animals is always a big theme. I guess the idea of us doing beast morphers was already sort of like an animal theme, if you will, mixed in with like some spy espionage sort of content. This almost feels more like animal theme with like a video game motif, if you will. But I think it could work. I really have always been a big supporter and a big fan of the costume designs. Simple enough with the print on them, but I always loved their henshin sequences. Always looked great, and I personally was a big fan of the cubes. I kind of like the cube design for the Megazords. And one of the things that I always thought would make this successful is because of the fact that 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 theme of sort of blocks and stuff, like, don't they have like a video game called like Roadblocks or something like that, or like some sort of toys or whatever the case may be? You also got Minecraft. I mean, to this day, at conventions I still see them selling like these little Minecraft swords or these like little cube swords and weapons and stuff. Like, kids eat that shit up to this day, sort of thing. So I do think that that sort of aesthetic to a season would probably go a really long way for Power Rangers if it eventually ever was adapted. I would be curious to see how they tackle it, though, in regards to, because I believe if in Zyuohger, which I I got to be honest. When it comes to Zyuohger, I have not finished the season. I have not finished the season. I think I fell off just at the beginning portion of the introduction to the Sixth Ranger in Zuo the World. I think I got like through 2 or 3 episodes of him being introduced and something like that, and seeing his link, like his backstory as to how he came to be, the idea of the enemies kind of capturing him and stuff, right? And experimenting on him and kind of creating them himself. I mean, the idea of an evil ranger is always a great thing to kind of have fun with, and then maybe even giving him a little bit of a redemption arc, I think would even really go a long way. And Zuo the World's, if like you, Zuo the World's costume is incredible. Also, I love the idea and the ability for not only the Red Ranger but the Sixth Ranger also in Zuo the World to be able to like change their animal forms, because I believe Red can change from like, was it an eagle or a falcon to like a gorilla, if I'm not mistaken. I think Zuo has like 3 different forms he changes into, like with his mask placement. I think it's like a wolf, an alligator, and there's something else off the top of my head I'm missing. I can't remember the other animals also, but I've always loved the theme and the motif, and I always thought that they've looked great, especially in their henshin sequences and all the power ups that they wind up getting throughout the season. So I do think that this would be a stellar season of Power Rangers if they wanted to go ahead and adapt it. There's a lot to really sink your teeth into. And so this almost makes me want to go back and watch Zyuohger. For those of you who are wondering, we did a poll for you guys in regards to like what our next Super Sentai reaction videos should be. And if I can be honest with you guys, my top 3 choices in regards to votes was Decker Ranger, Geki Ranger, and Zyuohger, believe it or not. So it almost makes me want to go back and rewatch Zyuohger, because I believe I might still have the first couple of episode reviews on my backup drive, but I did eventually fall off like within the early teens or something like that. But I do think that's a lot of potential. For those of you who are not familiar with Zyuohger, let me go over here to Ranger Wiki for you guys, because they do have a plot summary if you're interested. Okay, so here we go. It says it is estimated that approximately 8 million species of organisms live on Earth. However, we have only discovered about 1.7 million of those species. On this planet of ours, there are still many creatures that we know nothing about. Yamato, a novice zoologist, winds up lost on Zooland, another world located on Earth. There he meets 4 Zoomen, which are anthropomorphic sapient animals. It says, meanwhile, the human world is attacked by the space outlaw group Death Galleon, led by Guinness, the creator of a vicious blood game. From their ship, the Sagittary Ark, the Death Galleon send monsters to attack Earth. Yamato and the Zoomans cannot forgive the Death Galleons for attacking. As proud beings living on Earth, these 4 people awaken their instincts and become Zyuohger. With the king's credentials in hand, the human and Zoomans join together to fight for their home. Sky, land, and sea, the dream team of animal kings, the strongest animal heroes in Super Sentai history are born. Don't underestimate this planet. And I did have a lot of fun with that concept, at least, of there being sort of a second world on Earth, like if like another phase of it, if you will. And once you go in, there's literally a whole planet of like this says, sentient animals and stuff, right? People just living amongst themselves, a community living together and things like that. Really cool sort of costume designs that they wind up creating. And then when they're here on Earth, giving them sort of like that human form for them to be able to live comfortably and stuff. I had fun with it. I felt like some of the episodes, while they definitely had good moments, felt maybe a little bit too slow paced for me. Maybe could be one of the reasons why I might have fell off within the teens. But I gotta tell you, man, this almost makes me really want to go back and review and rewatch this particular season, maybe before it even does become adapted. So we'll see what happens, guys. Again, we're just that's why I got question marks all over the place in regards to Zyuohger as a rumor, because we'll see what happens. Listen, Real Soldier. Illuminati announced Real Soldier like a year before I think it was even announced, or 6 months before it was certainly even announced. We didn't believe them then, or some people didn't want to believe them then. And it certainly came true. And the fact that now that we're getting these tricklings of Zyuohger information, we'll see what happens, man. I'm sure we'll get more information. I'm really not expecting any official announcements or anything like that, at least until after season 2 of Dino Fury has begun airing. So if anything, like I think maybe Power Morphicon, if we do, I got to see when Power Morphicon is again for 2022. But yeah, I think as far as the future after Dino Fury, I'm definitely not expecting anything to truly be announced until after season 2 of Dino Fury at least begins. At least begins. So we'll see what happens here, guys. But the future of Power Rangers, listen, I know it's very uncertain at this point, but I will say, if anything, I do hope that Hasbro takes their time. I know that as fans, we sometimes do get very, we know what we want and we want it now sort of mentality. But I do think that there is something important that it's okay to take your time, especially if it's something that you don't want to mess up. You've invested $512 million into this particular property. So you definitely want to make sure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, so you don't drop the ball on this one. So if they need another season after Dino Fury to kind of hold them over before they reimagine and reboot things, who certainly knows? But I am eager to certainly see what they come up with. If anything, I would like to see them start changing some things up, in a sense that when it comes to Zyuohger, and with them moving things to Netflix, I do want to see them become a little bit more bolder in some of their creative choices that they wind up making. Like an introduction to Zyuohger, I think would be pretty cool. If we um I would love to see something adapted, like the Super Sentai Strongest Battle. If you guys recall, in that particular four-parter that we wind up getting, Yamato from Zyuohger is very heavily introduced and utilized in that particular story. I would love to see an American version of that. I know that there's some connections with Void Knight in there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Dino Fury even pops up in there. If we need some connective tissues from like pushing Dino Fury into a following season afterwards, say something like a Zyuohger, we've seen the US try to adapt the big crossover event and legendary battle, and unfortunately turned it into the legendary fail, and it didn't work out so well. I would love to see Hasbro take a shot at something like this, as sort of like a in between point to bring both of those series together, but also lead into a series of Zyuohger. Maybe bring back Brody from Ninja Steel. Maybe even bring back Tyler from Dino Charge, and then even bring back Zato from Real Soldier. Have fun with it. Maybe have a current season or more recent season, I should say. Even bring back Devin from Beast Morphers, and do a little bit of a Super Sentai Greatest Battle adaptation here in the States, but utilize it as a way to lead into a launching of, say, a Zyuohger adaptation, right? When it comes to Netflix, they have no problem in adapting, or I should not adapting, but like creating spin-offs and special movies, right? I mean, like The Witcher's doing it. The Witcher season 1, it's got a Witcher animated film out there, and I think they're going to be pulling out another one and another live action film. have some fun with it, Hasbro. Get creative with your storytelling and your formulas and stuff. Give us like a little mini series, if you will, a three-parter, a four-parter, and maybe lead into Zyuohger. I think that would be pretty cool if they wanted to go ahead and do something like that. If this all winds up turning out to be true at the end of the day, so a lot of potential, man, a lot of potential, and a lot of creative ways that they could certainly tackle it. But again, Zyuohger was on my top 3 list to be adapted. So for me, at least, I'm a happy camper if this certainly comes to fruition. But again, guys, we'll see if there's any more details that wind up trickling out, because again, Illuminati does have a show later on this afternoon that will be talking more about this. So maybe they'll reveal more details that aren't even necessarily that I'm personally aware of also. But shout out to also for Joe over at the Illuminati for talking with me a little bit yesterday. It was really great to kind of pick his brain and kind of see some of his points of view and his ideas as to what's particularly going on. So I appreciate him having the time and opportunity to just kind of talk with me a little bit. But again, if anything, it does very much feel like Hasbro is kind of in a holding pattern and just really trying to make the best out of this Power Ranger content that they certainly have. So we'll see. And I also do wonder if, because of the fact that we have been seeing, say, Jonathan Entwistle pick up other projects. Like he dropped off of the Willow movie or episode 1 direction, but he also picked up something else on his schedule. I wonder if it's because of the fact that whoever's writing the script, maybe they want to take some extra shots at it until they really feel like they've got something solid and significant. So we'll see, guys. I mean, look, we got Hasbro PulseCon 2021 coming up here in the next couple of weeks, right? We were kind of hoping, one of the things that I said was, if we are going to get sort of any movie information, maybe we'll get a little bit of a nugget of information there at Hasbro PulseCon. It is their biggest platform. If they do have any news or want to update or address the Power Ranger fandom in regards to it, I do think that that would be a really great place to certainly start. So we'll see if we get any development news from Hasbro and how detailed, or at least how lack of detail it certainly might be. So we'll see what certainly happens there. But if anything, I'm certainly not worried. I think the fact that Zyuohger could potentially be next after Dino Fury would be a win if it happens. The fact that Hasbro is taking their time with creating this Power Ranger world tells me that they want to make sure that this is right and not rush something out that's just going to bomb. That gives me confidence and reassurance that they really want this to succeed. So I want to know your guys' thoughts. You hear this, that Zyuohger could potentially be the next adaptation for Power Rangers. Is this something that you would be eager and open to certainly tackle? I do know that some people might have some pushback, maybe in regards to the costumes or the themes or the motifs, the Zord designs and things like that. I'm sure everybody will certainly have some issues with it, but I do think, again, when you've got Zuo the World as a potential evil ranger for a short period of time, then maybe eventually joining the team, I think Yamato's got some great power ups in regards to costume designs too as well. I think if you're looking for something visually to adapt, I think this is a great one to certainly go ahead and do so. So let me go ahead and pull up some of your guys' thoughts though, and see what you guys are saying. What you guys are certainly saying about this. So let's see here. Will this thing let me scroll up a little bit more? Datilla, this is a little bit off the side, but have you ever thought about using Streamlabs for donations? Yes, I have. I am thinking about switching over to Streamlabs. I was using OBS, and I am right now. I'm just using StreamYard, but I am considering moving over to Streamlabs. I know Streamlabs is very similar to OBS in regards to like its operating system, but I do feel like um it's another learning curve for me to have to learn, and if anything, I'm just like, do I got time for that? I don't know if I got time for that, but that is something that I definitely want to go ahead and check out for sure. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. What's up, Zachary? Appreciate you coming through today, Zachary. I appreciate you. He says, you think human and animal could work? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it could definitely work. People love animals, man. You can't go wrong with animals. Power Rangers Ready says, I like the Zyuohger suits. I don't mind if they eventually get adapted as long as it's not the other series I do not like at all. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I'm curious. I would love to see it adapted for sure. Matthew, a big fan of the Zyuohger. He says, I have really been hoping for a Zyuohger adaptation, though I will try to keep my expectations in check. Yeah, again, this is just rumors right now. Some rumbling certainly going on. So we're not confirming anything for you guys here. We're just letting you know what's going on in the Power Rangers circles, I'm assuming. What people are certainly talking about. So if we get any closer, again, I think Joe and the Illuminati will talk a little bit more about it, maybe give us a little bit more insight, maybe more actual confirmation stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. He also says, yes, Zyuohger also has an official Orange Ranger. Orange Ranger videos should be happy. He was really upset that Real Soldier was announced as Dino Fury because of a lack of an Orange Ranger. Yeah, people have been clamoring for an Orange Ranger for quite some time. So this might be the series for you guys, for sure. Ice Cream Man says, would be cool to see Caramager for Power Rangers, though. Oh, it absolutely would. It absolutely would. I think that's definitely a great series that could be adapted to. I think theme wise, motif wise, the idea of Jules. I think Garza, along with Carantula, make some really good villains. If you want to create their own Yodana, I think that would be pretty fun too. Marcelino, he says, I don't want Zyuohger to be adapted because it's part animal theme and Beast Morphers is part animal theme. So it feels a little bit repetitive, but the rumors are most likely true. Yeah, I am leaning to them being true. It feels kind of that way, especially if the idea of, Hasbro only owning the rights up until Real Soldier and nothing after that. I don't want to say it. I feel like it does eliminate quite a few other seasons that could have been adapted. But if you've got the rights for it, right? I mean, pull the trigger if you certainly can. But who knows? I definitely get that. And that's one of the things that I mentioned, right? Like I wasn't quite sure if they would adapt Zyuohger because we've already had Beast Morphers, which is kind of themish, but also kind of espionage type of thing. I do wonder if there's like a video game element that they would include to like Zyuohgers also. I'm not sure how they would certainly pull it off in regards to at least making it work here in the States. But I think animals would at least succeed from a financial sort of standpoint. Blossom says that Zyuohgers can be animals from another planet, and their animal forms can be their spirits, or Tokugers can get their safari rishas from them. Absolutely, absolutely. Ice Cream Man says, "I remember the simple days. They would adapt whatever was the last Sentai." Well, yeah, I think because of the fact that they have intentions of not any adapting anything really in the future. I think the fact of them maybe having the rights up until Real Soldier says something that they don't have intentions of trying to maybe continue along with adapting the more current stuff because maybe they had intentions of kind of cutting it off, but being able to utilize those stuff in the future and in any other ways that they certainly wanted to. So I think that I think that might tell us something there. Marcelino says, if Zoologer is adapted, I wonder how they will handle the 30th anniversary. I am curious about that too, because I fell off in this season. This was a season that I didn't get the opportunity to see how much it tackled its own anniversary, as it was the 40th anniversary of Super Sentai. So I don't know if it's a set of episodes. I don't know if it's a set of movies that was an anniversary theme, but I almost do want to go back and watch this season just so I can kind of see exactly just so I can kind of see how they could potentially adapt that into something anniversary wise. What's up, Jared? Appreciate you coming through today. He says, I think Zoologer could work because we had 3 animal seasons of Power Rangers. Yeah, they love their animal seasons. They definitely love their animal seasons. Adam says, "What morphers do the Zoogers use? Are we actually getting a female White Ranger and female Blue Ranger in the same team? We never had that before." Yeah, not white and blue. We did have a female White Ranger in Wild Force, and I believe we in other places too, but a female Blue as well. Yeah, that those are the two for the females in this particular season. What was the morphing sequence? I want to say it was their gun, their cube gun that they had. I'm trying to remember if they shot something off. I don't remember them having wristbands or anything like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was their cube gun that they had. Oh, that's what it was. Yes, the cubes. Thank you very much, Ice Cream. That's right. They had the cube, and then they would like turn it. Almost reminded me of like a freaking Rubik's cube. I did love it. I did love it. Oh, no, Marcelino, I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100% right. I do think that the love, like while one of the things that I was thinking to myself a couple of weeks back was, you know, considering the fact that Dino Fury right now literally uses probably no more than 4% of Super Sentai footage, we're literally just using the Sentai footage at this point for just the Zord battles itself and the fighting sequences. So if you really boil it down, the only reason why we're technically adapting Super Sentai anymore is just because people want to see the suits. Like you said, right? It's something about just the suits itself. Now, granted, Super Sentai and Power Rangers have always been linked, right? So I do think inherently there is an attachment that people certainly want Super Sentai to always have. But I always feel like at the end of the day, truly, people just want to see the suits used. That's all it really comes down to, because we don't like, when I think of adapting Super Sentai, there are aspects of like the storyline itself. I don't really want you to do the storyline from Zyuohger. I want you to be able to morph it, no pun intended, into something else original and something else that you can certainly tackle. So for me, I do like that idea of give me something completely original, but I get what you're saying. I totally agree with you, Marcelino. I would argue that people just want to see the suits be used with little to no Sentai footage. And I do think that's the situation that we have here. Power Rangers Ready says, with Zyuohger using cubes as morphers, do you think if Zyuohger were to adapt Power Rangers, they would create all new morphers for Power Rangers? Jungle Fury ditched the glove morphers for shades. I say stick with the cubes. I say stick with the cubes. I just think especially from a toy perspective, I think that would be pretty cool if you can actually twist, like, because again, it does remind me very much of a Rubik's cube. So I say take that idea and run with it. So I say keep it as a cube. What's up, Daniel? Appreciate you coming through. Rhino, a rhino. Thank you very much, Daniel, for that correction. Yes, I was wondering. I was like, I know there's a crocodile, but yes, thank you very much for the rhino. Because yeah, there were three. I was looking at some of these last comments. Datilla Power Morphicon is August 26th through the 28th. If anything, if we do get Zyuohger, for sure the official announcement will be there. I'm definitely expecting them to roll out the Rangers if we do get a Zyuohger adaptation. That fits like perfectly, I feel, with like the timeline of their usual announcements. So yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if we get further details before that actual official announcement, though. It happens every year. We usually know what's coming before the announcement. Power Ranger Legacy says, "Hell no, don't bring back Brody." I mean, listen, I don't mind Brody, especially look. William Schufeld's been doing some great work in regards to Power Rangers. I mean, he's been very active in like additional fan films, other Power Ranger projects, and if anything, he's been doing the Comic Con thing also. I feel like I feel like that warrants more time on screen in the future. Power Rangers already says having our own Super Sentai Strongest battle with a few past Red Rangers would be dope. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Bring back Tyler, bring back Devin, give me Brody, give me Zato, right? And then give me even the whoever's gonna be your Zyuohger Red Ranger, and thrust him sort of into this action. Who knows? Maybe our Zyuohger team's already formed, and we eventually join them later or something like that. But this is our first introduction to Zyuohger Red. I think that would be pretty fun. DHR2. What's up, DHR? He says, we'll see how things are instead of jumping into conclusions. Oh, I mean, hey, we're definitely not jumping into conclusions here. I mean, we're just simply speculating based off of rumors that we've been hearing and rumblings that are certainly happening these days. Anytime, it's those rumblings start to get a little bit louder and brought out, definitely always warrant talking about. But again, that's why we got all the question marks. I always refer to these certainly as rumors right now until we get further information. But we'll see what happens, man. So yeah, definitely not jumping to some conclusions, but it is growing on me that this is something I certainly would like to see, and would make sense if that's the direction that they certainly decided to go. Jared, what's up, Jared? He says, Zyuohger is a Sentai I'm excited for if it gets adapted. The Sixth Ranger and the Orange Ranger, I definitely, plus the power-ups, also the fusion mode for the Red Ranger. Yeah, so I was saying the power-ups look fantastic, costume design-wise, perfect if you ask me. I didn't, so again, because I fell off early in Zyuohger, I am familiar with the Sixth Ranger in Zyuo the World, but I didn't even realize that there was an Orange Ranger even a part of this season also. So the fact that you guys have been mentioning that, and again, I feel like ever since Hasbro's taken over, there has been seasons of firsts when it comes to Dino Fury. Even getting a kiss on Beast Morphers, I think even went a long way, sort of thing. Give us an Orange Ranger finally, right? I'm totally down for that. The A Games 10, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. He says, I think Power Rangers could adapt Zyuohger. Power Rangers will have its 30th anniversary, and that Zyuohger was an anniversary season. I heard Hasbro has all Sentai up to Real Soldiers. So, yeah, that's some of the rumblings that we're hearing as well. So it would definitely, again, a little bit of a bummer for me because I definitely wanted to see not Q Ranger. Well, Q Ranger was up there, but Kara Major, because I've always wanted to see that adapted into like a Zeo Crystal prequel or something like that, or sequel, I should say. But this works for me too, man. This definitely works for me too. DHR says, in fact, they if they do adapt that season, they should turn it into a martial arts theme. Maybe talking about Real Soldier. I mean, talking about Zyuohger. Yeah, they do have a lot of great hand-to-hand combat in this series for sure. I was thinking about that the other day too. Like it would be cool for them. Like they could really pull out some really great martial arts concepts too if they wanted to out of Zyuohger, or at least blend it in with something. You know what I mean? Johnny, he says, yes, I want Zyuohger adaptation because more rock quarry battle and anniversary season and the first official Orange Ranger. See, man, that Orange Ranger is popular, man. That Orange Ranger's really pushing some people to be like, yeah, I kind of want this. I kind of want this. DHR2 says, I don't trust the Illuminati. Look, I get it. I get not everybody certainly does, but they announced, they also announced Real Soldier very early on as the next adaptation. People didn't want to believe them then, and it came out to be true. They confirmed Dr. K's appearance in Beast Morphers along with Colonel. they got that true also. I'm sure there's a couple other things that they probably got true. So I wouldn't completely dismiss it. I wouldn't completely dismiss it, but definitely at least keep mind open for sure, because anything can happen. So we'll see what happens. Again, right now nothing has been confirmed. It's just rumors as of right now. But there are clearly some rumblings and some things happening behind the scenes. And we heard that real soldier news relatively early, I felt like also. I don't know if they have the same level of confidence in the real soldier news as they did with this Zyuohger information. But I think time will tell, and we might have more details this afternoon, guys. So definitely look forward to that and see what they have to say. What's up, Sam? Appreciate you certainly coming through today. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm doing great today. Is Sam says Adam Zyuohger is all right. It's just Zords are a bit of Minecraft. They definitely are, but I will say I think that's also the perfect reason why you go about tackling that, because Minecraft is still very popular amongst kids. I feel like they definitely very much are. Kids love that type of video game bloxy type of motif and theme. So if they are going for, the 6-year old or the 5-year old, this feels like this season could just print money in regards to some of the cool designs that they can really come up with. What's up, Koala? Appreciate you certainly coming through. Appreciate you coming through, Koala. Yeah, so right now the idea is that potentially the Toei and Hasbro split apparently is still according to plan, in the sense that because that Hasbro only has the rights up to Real Soldier. To me, it sounds like if that's the case, if they only have rights up to Real Soldier, then they really have no intentions of continuing further past that of what else to certainly adapt. You know what I mean? So the idea of maybe Zyuohger being sort of that last hurrah, since they technically do have the rights and they haven't yet rolled out what they're doing in regards to the plans fully for the future as of yet when it comes to Power Rangers. Zyuohger could be utilized as sort of like a holding pattern season while Hasbro still continues to get their ducks in a row to go ahead and create whatever it is that they're creating. Whether or not they utilize Super Sentai footage for this, or it's all original footage, but just utilizing some of the costume designs and things like that, we'll definitely see. But that's kind of what we're hearing as of right now. But as things change, things are always changing and fluid. If we get any more information or any more accurate and detailed information, we'll definitely share it with you guys for sure. All right, guys. I think outside of that, oh, real quick shout out to Rux. What's up, Rux? Appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you coming through, man. Thank you very much. Power Rangers says, if a Zyuohger gets adapted, what do you want Power Rangers to address? They only make sense in Zyuohger. Oh, this is a full season of animal protection awareness. Okay, this whole season would be the idea of protecting not only life but animals on this planet too, as well. This could be like the climate control, the climate change season for Power Rangers if they wanted to help save all the endangered species. I'm pretty sure we'll get a ton of endangered species episodes and animal protection episodes. Yeah, that's the only way, only Zyuohger can do it. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas though. We'll see. All right, guys. With that out of the way, I think if anything, we do have a couple other topics, guys. But these were just the two other big topics. I probably should like move on because this we've gone like an hour and a half already. We've only been talking two episodes so far. Oh, excuse me, that was like a weird hiccup there. Let me get some coffee so I can rejuvenate myself for the second half of this show. My goodness. We've had a lot of things have been going down. I told you this was going to be like the trinity of topics this week. DHR says I'm one of those people that doesn't want this split to end. I get it. I definitely get it. DHR. It's hard to say goodbye to yesterday, in the words of Boys to Men. Change is always worrisome, especially when you've kind of grown up around this type of thing. You know what I mean? Your whole entire life to kind of have this. Anytime change happens, it's always certainly worrisome. And so with us kind of as a fandom very much in limbo, it's hard to want to see things kind of end. But there is a part of me that feels like I think changing up the formula for Power Rangers would be really good. I mean, I think as fans of Power Rangers, we've done a great job and have really enjoyed having Power Rangers as a fandom to ourselves for like the past 28 years. But I think if we truly want to see Power Rangers expand and become more popular, we have to kind of get comfortable with the idea of it expanding and maybe doing some different things to broaden its horizons and not only attract old school fans and big supporters of the franchise for the past 28 years, but also the general public. And if that means having to come up with a new formula, switch things up, allow them to have more creative control, create more original content for themselves. I think all of that is a really great launching point for Power Rangers to become even more successful than it certainly is. But I get it. I definitely get the pushback of not wanting to see the split happen. And again, who knows? It could be the case of Hasbro and Toei maybe just completely not working together anymore, or maybe they've got themselves a great sort of working relationship and bond, and maybe they've just come up with a new game plan of, hey, we still want to work together, but going forward, we just don't want to utilize Super Sentai footage. However else we can work together, that's great, but maybe less Super Sentai footage is the direction that they kind of want to go. And I think you can still have a partnership in that regards too. So we'll see what happens, but it does feel like Hasbro wants to create something new, but we'll see if the kid show sticks around, if it sticks to the Sentai formula, or if it still feels like old Sentai, but with all original footage, and they put a little bit of extra money in regards to like Zord content or something. We'll see. The future is ever changing and very fluid. So we just have to bend, not break when news certainly comes through. S. Karoma, appreciate you coming through. He says, I think Zyuohger and Power Rangers Wild Force connection. Absolutely. If you, again, animal themes are super popular when it comes to Power Rangers. If there is any connections that they wanted to make to past Power Rangers seasons, Wild Force would be a great one for them to certainly go ahead and do so. Alexis, what's up, Alexis? He says, here's my name for Zyuohger for Power Rangers Wild Prime. Ooh, I think I like it, man. I like it. Appreciate that, Alexis. Usai is in the house. What's up, Usai? He says, sup, Adam, here late, but mad love, bro. Hey, it's okay. I appreciate you coming through, at least showing your support, man. So thank you very much for that. If Zyuohger gets adapted, do you think Hasbro can do new things without Nickelodeon formula like comedy duos and making the Rangers always telling jokes? Dino Supercharged, they overused. Yeah, I definitely, or background music. Yeah. First off, shout out to Bert Selling this week in Dino Fury. I really did love his music selection for this episode. But yeah, no, I do think that they will do new things for sure. Simon Bennett himself, again, even if Simon Bennett comes back or not, I'm crossing my fingers that he does. But if Zyuohger does happen, I would love Simon Bennett to come back on board, because he even said to us one time that there are some things that he would like to change formula wise, that if he had his way, there are things, improvement that he knows that he can improve on, that he can certainly change. So yeah, I don't necessarily think I do think that there probably will be some comedy aspect, clearly, whether it be a comedy duo, who knows? But I do think that some things would be changed, especially with it being on Netflix. I think it would give them a lot more creative control in regards to that. Blossom says Power Rangers Wild Guardians. I kind of dig that too, man. I kind of dig that. Alexis, he says it's going to be hard to say goodbye to Sentai for fans, but it is okay for Hasbro to do their own thing. Is okay also. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Alexis. It is, like I said, it's like in the words of Boys to Men, it's always hard to say goodbye to yesterday for sure, man. But yeah, nice names, guys. From Wild Prime, Wild Guardians. I'm here for Power Rangers Primal. I dig it, man. I dig it. The potential is there. So I'm really thrilled to kind of see he said maybe more than 22 minutes, maybe three or maybe 30 or 40-minute episodes. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe the Jonathan Entwistle stuff, if we do get an adult live action sort of thing, I would probably expect those episodes to be like 40 minutes long or so. But if they are sticking with the kid content, probably within the 28 to 20 to 30-minute episodes still too. That's the aspect of the formula that they might keep, at least for the kids stuff if they do. But for the adult stuff, I'm expecting them to push the envelope a little bit. All right, guys. Great Zyuohger discussions, and I'm really glad that again, clearly, despite there are some people that do have some pushback and some issues with it, it does feel like for the most part, people are open to the idea, or at least kind of pumped about it. So, we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys posted as more Zyuohger information returns and comes out. And again, Joe over from the Illuminati, they will be talking about it here this weekend, later on this afternoon. So definitely check them out if you want more details. And if there's any new information that comes out, we'll definitely talk about it next week here for you guys also. But let's go ahead and move on, guys, because we do have a couple other topics. Dan, we haven't even gotten to your honorable, your live viewer questions today, guys. So this might be an extremely long episode. So I apologize in regards to that. I hope you guys all have your coffee ready to kind of sit back and relax and just enjoy this afternoon with me for sure. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and get into our next topic. We're going to go ahead and transition over to some tokusatsu news for you guys today. I was going to start with something else, but I think I'm going to go ahead and actually make a course correction here in regards to the next story. We've got Gokaiger 10 or 10 Gokaiger movie news for you guys here today, as a new trailer and poster wind up dropping this week. Guys, I got to tell you, this poster is so much fun to me. It is so dynamic, so dark. I absolutely love the grittiness of this brand new poster that we wind up getting for the upcoming movie. I don't know why, but I get like Empire Strikes Back vibes from this. Almost like we wind up getting the Gokaiger series itself, along with seeing Captain Marvelous return in the Super Sentai Strongest Battle. That all felt very sort of Star Wars A New Hope to me. But like now that we've jumped 10 years and things have significantly changed for our team, things seem darker and not as friendly and uplifting as they certainly used to be. And there does seem to be a sense of stakes and maybe dread involved in this particular movie, that I definitely get Empire Strikes Back vibes from it for some reason. Maybe that's just my level of excitement for wanting to see this, because it looks a lot darker than even I was even expecting it to certainly look. And so for me, I'm kind of pumped for this, man. I'm kind of pumped for this as we wind up getting ourselves a new trailer. And as you guys can see here, a brand new poster revealed as well for you guys. Get an opportunity to see all the main characters, their new looks, their new designs. And it looks like it's about to go down for sure. This was the first poster that they revealed to us, majestic as can be. But this looks like some shit's about to go down, and I cannot wait to see this movie. It is going to be released this year, but it's not going to be available on DVD and Blu-ray until March of next year, I believe. But let's go ahead and check this out, because I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to see the trailer for yourself or not. But let me go ahead and try and pull this up here. Let me go ahead and I'll share the audio also, although I will mute mine. But this is from tokunation.com. It says new Gokaiger 10 Gokaiger trailer released. So let me go ahead and play that for you guys. It says the next project, 10 Gokaiger, features a new event called the Super Sentai Derby Coliseum, which features a competition between all the Sentai except one. The Gokaiger team has gone their separate ways until Captain Marvelous appears on Earth once again to issue a Coliseum challenge. All 6 members of the Gokaiger team will return for this special, along with the series writer Narushia Arakawa. Rounding out the reunion will be the original Sue actors for the Gokaiger team. It will be a limited theatrical release November 11th of this year. So I love this. It definitely reminds me of like Super Sentai Strongest Battle. Oh, and for those of you who missed that quick cameo there, I believe that's Bosco. Well, that's not quite Bosco, but that's the actor that played Bosco there as the announcer. And then also was that Jin from Go Busters also as Gold. They're also as the announcers for the Super Sentai Derby Coliseum. So yeah, Super Sentai Strongest Battle, Super Sentai Derby Coliseum. It feels like this. I don't want to say like exactly the same thing, but the idea of a competition between all Super Sentai teams battling it out. Clearly, the only team that's not there is the Gokaiger team, and Captain Marvelous shows up on the set with some bones, or I should say, some business to pick with some people for sure, as we get to see Captain Marvelous and even Joe facing off against one another here. So some intense moments, man. I'm kind of curious to see certainly what's brought back Captain Marvelous in here, his new attitude. Clearly, it feels like something evil is going on when it comes to this Super Sentai Derby Coliseum. Like maybe its truest intentions aren't being shown or being run by somebody evil, and maybe this is why our Gokaigers pop back up on the scene. But it sounds like it's going to be fun in regards to at least showcasing us brand new just combinations of Rangers facing off against one another. I love any time when they just continue to include Super Sentai in their movies and having these massive crossovers and events, these event level sort of feeling moments throughout Super Sentai that I'm a really big fan of, honestly. So I'm here for it, man. Not only does the new trailer look great, it definitely brings a level of stakes and mystery towards it that I'm really looking forward to. I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. Gokaiger for me was my very first Super Sentai season that I had been introduced to. So it definitely holds a very warm place in my heart. And I absolutely love these characters. Like for me, I feel like these are characters that I can definitely grow with over time. And it gives me hype that the idea that we're doing it 10 years after. Why do I feel like Gokaiger could warrant a 20 years after movie? If it comes to that point, like I really would love to see these characters stick around, and I think that's one of the things that I love about Super Sentai, that they continue to not only praise the actors that have these roles, but they really do treat them with great respect. It's almost like once you become part of the Super Sentai family, you're always a part of it, and they love bringing back these characters. These actors love portraying these roles and talking highly about their time on their shows, and even warranting wanting to come back, I think really does go a long way. I wish that Hasbro in the future and things like that really focus on the importance of keeping around some of these old school actors, and really allowing them to kind of shine in other and creative ways. I do think that there's something fantastic, a great formula that Super Sentai uses, that I really would love to see Power Rangers adapt a little bit more in regards to how they take care of their actors, for sure. But yeah, guys, I want to know your thoughts. You see the 10 Gokaiger trailer, a brand new one here. How pumped are you for it? And trust me, once it becomes available on English sub, guys, we will be doing a review for you guys here. So definitely look out for that whenever it becomes available. And we'll keep you updated also in regards to any new information that might drop in regards to that particular movie. Ice Cream Man says Gokaiger is one of my favorite Sentai. Yeah, mine too, man. Mine too. Yusai says super hype for the Gokaiger reunion. Marvelous is the GOAT, and no one can tell me otherwise. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Frankie Lupin says 10 Gokaiger movie looking good. I definitely agree with you, man, for sure. DHR2 says I'm here for it. Yeah, man. I'm ready for this season. I'm ready for this movie to show up for sure. All right, guys. And with that out of the way, we will move on to our next topic. We'll transition a little bit more into some Kamen Rider news, as I feel like we got a plethora of news here this week, guys. To be honest with you, big things are happening when it comes to Kamen Rider and its continued expansion here into the States, trying to make people aware of some of their Kamen Rider content. And one of the series that they're really pushing forward with this year is, in fact, 01, ladies and gentlemen. This past week, we've already heard before that Tokusatsu, along with Toei, were going to be collaborating in order to bring Kamen Rider 01 to Tokusatsu for the states to certainly go ahead and watch it if they want to. But big development here as we've got San Diego Comic-Con that's actually going to be dropping this September, if I'm not mistaken. I'm assuming, if anything, it's going to be a virtual one. I could certainly be wrong, but we did get an announcement that the 01 movie Real Time will in fact be airing at 01 Comic-Con, which I found rather interesting. And not just the movie itself, but also the idea of a panel and a Q&A, which I think will really go a long way for this series. So let's go ahead and jump into this announcement real quick for you guys. This information came over to us over on Twitter. So let's go ahead and pull this up. It's from the Tokusatsu site themselves. It says, just announced Team Rider and Tokusatsu plus Comic-Con special edition. Saturday, November 27th at 6:30. Panel and Q&A. And it says the U.S. premiere of Kamen Rider 01 Real Time. Yeah, there you go. There's the poster itself. So yeah, San Diego Comic-Con special edition, Saturday, November 27th at 6:30. It's going to be the U.S. premiere of Real Time, and then also a panel and Q&A. Special guests, Team Rider will be there along with Tokusatsu as well. So yeah, man, they're really pushing forward with this with Kamen Rider here in the States and trying to get more eyes on their product. And I think this is a great idea if you ask me. Here's another close-up shot of the poster itself if you wanted to go ahead and check it out. But yeah, I'm assuming San Diego Comic-Con is going to be virtual this year, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. If anything, I'll have to go ahead and maybe do some extra research in regards to it. But yeah, great move, I think, by Toei to go ahead and pull the trigger on this and have 01 showcase. Listen, I will say again, it was the first couple of episodes that I watched, maybe like the first 10, fell in love with it, but I just had so much content that we were already reviewing and watching. I didn't get the chance to finish the series. So this may be a fantastic way for me not only to catch up on the series, but also check out this movie as well. So mark your calendars, guys, if you want to go ahead and check out 01 Real Time. That's November 27th, going to be taking place on Tokusatsu. But that's not all that Kamen Rider is certainly developing as of right now. As one of the other projects that they're currently planning is Kamen Rider Black Sun. Now, I believe Black Sun was a series that they've done already, but I believe they might be looking to try and do like a reboot or a revamping of it before a more modern sort of audience these days, a more adult audience. But they just released and reviewed, I should say, the staff for the upcoming Kamen Rider Black Sun project that they're going to be working on. Because I think right now it's the Kamen Rider 01 stuff that they're pushing on Tokusatsu. They also have the Kamen Rider Fudo P, which is the sequel to Kamen Rider W, the animated sequel to Kamen Rider W that they're going to be having on Funimation as a simulcast. They also have Shin Kamen Rider, which we talked a little bit about last weekend, also that they're developing movie-wise. We got the opportunity to see that great sort of opening clip or homage that they're certainly paying to the classic opening for Kamen Rider. So they're working on that too. And their fourth project, Kamen Rider Black Sun. They're not pulling any punches, guys. They have every intention of trying to make this work. So I thought it would be fascinating to go ahead and check out who exactly they've brought on board for Kamen Rider Black Sun, that some of you guys may recognize. These names may be the first time that you're hearing them, and then at least getting an opportunity to hear what these creators are certainly saying about their involvement in Black Sun. So let's go ahead and dive into this. This article, guys, comes to us from Tokusatsu Network. The Tokusatsu Network, great site, guys. If you're looking for your Tokusatsu news, I would also recommend jefusion.com, another great source of information, along with Toku Nation. Those are really our three sites that we go to for all of our Tokusatsu news. So let's go ahead and dive in for you guys with this. Kamen Rider Black Sun staff revealed. It says this: the production staff of Kamen Rider Black has been revealed, with Kazuya Shiraishi directing the upcoming series. It says he's most notably known from his time from The Blood Wolves and The Devil's Path. And this is Kazuya Shiraishi. I probably completely butchered his name. I do apologize, sir. But he is the one that's going to be directing this reboot series for Kamen Rider Black. It also says the special effects director is Kiyotaka Taguchi. He was the director of special effects for Ultraman Z also. So if you guys did get the opportunity to check out Ultraman Z, you probably have seen some of his work. It says, working on the script is Izumi Takahashi, who has worked with the director in the past prior with script writing for The Devil's Path. So the script writer has worked with this director before. And we've got the visual concept designer, Shinji Higuchi, the director of Shin Godzilla and the upcoming Ultraman film. So I'm assuming he's the director of the visual concept department that he worked on as well. So they've got some pretty solid resume, if you ask me, from Ultraman Z to Shin Godzilla and Shin Ultraman, even The Devil's Path. Pretty solid stuff jumping on board with here. But here's some of the staff comments from the screenwriter, for the script writer. He says, Kamen Rider Black and the monsters have tough bodies. However, the monsters also show pain from being reconstructed. I want to write the coolest of monster fights, dramatically depicting their strengths, their weaknesses, and their transience. Please look forward to it. And I definitely am. I definitely am. You got the visual concept designer. He came out and said, when I heard that director Shiraishi would have a hand in Kamen Rider, it was such an amazing thing that I wanted to come up with idea after idea. How would it be the monsters? How would the monsters be created? How would this world with monsters look like? Then when I was assigned for content visuals, I wanted to make something from scratch, reimagining of modified humans and monsters. I hope everyone will look forward to this. I did not check out Black Sun, but I gotta say, just based off of what these two are talking about in regards to the monsters, reconstruction, reimagining of modified humans and monsters, I am interested in their take of how they're going to present the enemies of Kamen Rider Black Sun here. The special effects director, he says, I'm honored to be invited to be the special effects director for Black Sun. I just want to make cool models for this production, models that leave an impression just as they left one on 7-year-old me watching Kamen Rider Black. This will be a production made to respect Kamen Rider series, but also, in a sense, break its molds. I love hearing stuff like that when people want to take that extra step forward to create something unique. I love the sound of that. He says, I feel like we'll have something never seen before. I hope you're looking forward to this. And it says more information on Black Sun will be revealed over the next couple of weeks. From November 19th through the 21st, the Tamashii Nation Online 2021 event will take place. During this event, the key visual design for Kamen Rider Black will take place on the final day of the event on the 21st. So guys, looks like we've got some Kamen Rider Black Sun news that will be coming to us late November that we definitely have to look forward to. If anything, it sounds like we might actually get ourselves a glimpse at what some of this concept art and the designs for the series certainly might look like. So I'm really fascinated. Again, somebody that didn't watch Kamen Rider Black, the fact that they're rebooting this for a more modern time, I'll take it. And I do feel like it'll probably be maybe a little bit more adult than say something like a Ultraman Trigger, which is kind of like an homage and I want to say a reboot. It's like a reboot reimagining, if you will, of Ultraman Tiga. But if that's the same sort of mentality that they have around Kamen Rider Black Sun, count me in, man. Count me in. I'm definitely here for it. So I find myself more and more fascinated with Kamen Rider content that they've been coming out with. So they definitely have my ear. But guys, listen, I want to know your guys' thoughts. You hear some of this stuff from the director, from the special effects director, visual concept designer, and stuff. What's your level of excitement for Kamen Rider Black Sun? Definitely go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, guys. And with that out of the way, guys, we will go ahead and transition over to our very last story of the day before we go ahead and tackle your guys' live viewer questions. But before we do our last topic, we got to talk a little bit about Ultraman Trigger, ladies and gentlemen, as we got ourselves a brand new interview with Mr. Koichi Sakamoto himself, guys, the director of Ultraman Trigger, I should say the main director, even though each episode of Ultraman Trigger is directed by somebody else. I believe he's like the main showrunner in the sense of like the main director, like the beginning. I think if anything, he's directed this episode and maybe next week's episode of Ultraman Trigger. So very much beginning, middle, and end type of guy. And I have not had the opportunity to watch this week's episode of Ultraman Trigger yet, but I probably will after we go off the air, because it looks fantastic. And I've been loving Ultraman Trigger so far. It's probably one of my favorite shows to look forward to each and every week so far. So I am eager to go ahead and bring that review to you guys this weekend. So I have not forgotten about Ultraman Trigger's newest episode. We will talk about it this weekend here. But Koichi Sakamoto is in the news. And guys, can I be completely honest with you? I don't know if this makes me a complete idiot or somebody that I just did not pay attention, but it's just funny to me how my first introduction in here to Ultraman, the first series that I decided to watch in Ultraman Trigger, has a massive connection to Power Rangers that I had absolutely no idea about. And that comes in the form of the director here in Koichi Sakamoto. For those of you who don't know, or maybe the name sounds familiar to you, if you've kept your ear to the ground when it comes to the crew and development of Power Rangers series in the past, but Koichi Sakamoto, according to some of the Wikipedia stuff and information that I've read on him, he actually was a part of Saban's Alpha stunt team, I believe, that he wound up joining Power Rangers towards the tail end of the third Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season, and he worked with Saban all the way through the Saban era in regards to being the second unit director. So the guy that really in charge of like the fight choreography and the action and things like that. So Koichi Sakamoto goes all the way back to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 3, and he worked with Saban during his entire run with Power Rangers, all the way up to Ninja Storm, if I'm not mistaken, when it actually moved over to New Zealand, Disney's first take on Power Rangers also. So Koichi Sakamoto has definitely a significant time and experience when it comes to Power Rangers, working all the way from MMPR to Ninja Storm as a second unit director. He did also, after his time there, work on other Ultraman series as well from time to time. And then I think he's also came back to Power Rangers for Power Rangers Samurai when Saban picked it up once again, and then went back to Ultraman sort of thing. So it's kind of crazy, just the connection that Koichi Sakamoto certainly has, and the fact that I had no idea that he was doing this series. until I actually read this interview. When I went to go back to look at his extra work, I was like, wait a minute, this is the director of Ultraman. I was like, no wonder I'm loving this series as much as I certainly am. He's done a fantastic job, man. He's done a hell of a fantastic job with this series. So I'm really really eager to go ahead and continue along with this series. But he did have an interview that I wanted to go ahead and highlight just briefly here. If you have been watching Ultraman Trigger, might be some cool details for you guys, I thought. So let's go ahead and dive into this. This article is also from Tokusatsu Network, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Tokusatsu Network. It says he talks about his road to Ultraman Trigger. It says you directed some episodes of last year's Ultraman Z, but you haven't been the main director of an Ultraman series since Ultraman Geed. When did you start participating in the planning process? And he said he actually joined quite early in the planning process. At first, we only had a vague idea of what we wanted the next project to be, something related to Ultraman Tiga. So we started from almost nothing and discussed it with all the staff to shape it into a work. It says, please tell us about the plan designs for Ultraman Trigger, which is being referred to as the Reiwa era Ultraman Tiga. He says the biggest challenge we face was figuring out how to incorporate elements of Tiga into the show. As you all know, Tiga is popular among the fans, and it's a work that's reached its own conclusion. So I thought it would be impossible to make a sequel to it. We decided on recreating the impact that Tiga left on children and the world. Unlike a remake or a reboot of Tiga, our main goal was to create the same social phenomenon that happened back then. The fact that the title includes the words new generation is almost an expression of our desire to convey the charm of the old series to a new generation. And I think that they've probably have done that. I think they've done a really good job of balancing things out. While, like, for me, while I feel like maybe watching Ultraman Tiga is important, I am still at least enjoying Ultraman Trigger with its revelations that we've certainly have been getting, to the point to where I don't feel like I fully need to have watched Ultraman Tiga to appreciate what they're doing, but a part of me certainly still wants to. But I think they've found themselves a really great balance, if you ask me, in regards to this. So yeah, I absolutely love what we've been getting so far. Um, Oh, he also asks them about the script directors, the people that are writing this series. And he says, when I received the offer for this project, Subaraya Productions asked me to invite someone who had not participated in any of the projects before, but was interested in Ultraman. And that's why I invited Hayashi. When he had written the script for Black Fox, Age of the Ninja, I had heard that he loved tokusatsu films. So I had asked him to visit me at the other sites after that. We talked about how we would like to challenge ourselves with the tokusatsu hero film someday, and I introduced him to Subaraya. He says they also asked him, it also seems like many of the other staff members have also worked with you. And he says, that's true. That's right. He says, when I worked with Shoma Muto, who designed the three giants of darkness, the enemies of Trigger, in another work, I asked him to join us because of his talents. The same goes for Kaisuke, who designed the Metron alien Marluru design also. And then he also worked with the music director as well. So definitely bringing people on board that he clearly trusted to do an amazing job, and they've been killing it. I've loved the music for Ultraman Trigger so far in here. I've been a really big fan of a lot of the character and costume designs too. The Merlu alien design is a little bit trippy, but super original. But I love the fact that they wind up getting the actress that plays Luca from Gokaiger to voice her. She's been doing a marvelous job in regards to them also. It says, I would also like to ask you about casting. First of all, what made you decide to cast Raiga Tarasaka as the main character in Kengo? He says, we had remote auditions this time around. were many that auditioned, Terasaka's sunny disposition stood out above the rest. He was exactly what we were looking for in the main character of Ultraman Trigger, and he made me think I want to work with him just from the first glance. His inherent positivity and cheerfulness was perfect for the theme of the work to make people smile. Smiley, smiley. I really hate that term. But it's kind of growing on me. I can't even lie. I really do like the actor that we have portraying Kango in this series. I really do. I think he's doing great work, great facial expressions, really carries his emotions sort of on his face and on his sleeve. I really love what he's bringing to the Ultraman Trigger character and Kengo. So I'm glad that this worked out for him. And there's no joke. I mean, when I see him on screen, he definitely is like a walk-in embodiment of positivity and cheerfulness. And if that's the direction that they're going, yeah, talk about the perfect man for the job. So listen, guys, just actually more to this article and interview for you guys to check out if you want to. Again, I would recommend going over to the Tokusatsu Network. There's a specific section for Ultraman news. This interview is certainly there. Go ahead and see what Koichi Sakamoto is certainly up to. For me, it was just really great to kind of not only make the Ultraman and Power Ranger connection, but to see somebody that worked on Power Ranger series, especially as a second unit director, for series and Power Rangers that I loved and really admired for such a long time, to see where his career has certainly taken him, and all his hard work to leading from his work back in the 90s when I grew up with him in Power Rangers, to see the incredible work that he's doing currently on Ultraman Trigger, to kind of see where he's come from and he's now at. Incredible stuff, man. Incredible stuff. So I absolutely love this interview. Go ahead and check it out too, guys, if you want any further insight in regards to Ultraman Trigger. So yeah, guys, I know we got ourselves a brand new form for Ultraman Trigger this week. I think the episode itself already has over 600,000 views, and it hasn't even been, I think it's only been like less than 24 hours. So I think this is going to be a massive episode. So I cannot wait to go ahead and get into it and bring you guys our review. If not tomorrow morning, then definitely by the weekend. So definitely look out for our Ultraman Trigger review, guys. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think that's it. Let me see if you guys are saying anything in regards to the comment section here. Let's see. Yes, I did mean November. Sorry. All right, let's see what you guys are saying real quick before we dive into the live viewer questions. Adam, do you like Izzy more than Toa and Real Soldier, or too early to give judgment? I do like Izzy more than Toa. I didn't really care. I mean, Toa was cool. I mean, great fighter, great speed, little brother to Bamba. But I think Izzy's got a little bit more character. Jerry, what's up, Jerry? Appreciate you coming through. He says, just to let you know that 01 series will be streaming on Tokusatsu on January 22nd, along with the movie. Well, thank you very much for that heads up, Jerry. Always appreciate it, man. Power Rangers ready. He says, Koichi, legendary stunt coordinator and director from Power Rangers. Yeah, it's just so funny to me that I'm sitting here watching Ultraman Trigger. And I think because of the fact, because, for me, I'm a big TV and movie guy. So I love finding out who the director is, who the writer is, and things like that. But for some reason, even despite the fact that I've been loving Ultraman Trigger and reviewing each episode, I haven't really had the time to kind of study who's creating the show. Who's the main writer? Who's the main director? Even though those duties are kind of spread out. So to kind of learn that it was Koichi and just his attachment from Power Rangers now to the current season of Ultraman, it's like coming full circle. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was pretty cool. Uh, Adam says you should rock all the Dino Fury color set shirts, even pink for Hunter. Hey, I only got green and red at this point. I wouldn't mind all the other colors. I just haven't paid for them yet. How do you plan to watch Netflix episodes? I'm probably gonna binge them. I'm probably gonna binge them, so I'll probably know this season. But if anything, I'm probably going to release my reviews weekly though. So whenever Netflix drops a new episode, that's when I'm going to be dropping my review for that episode. So I'm not going to be dropping episodes 12 through 22 reviews sort of all at once or all throughout the week. I personally will probably binge and watch as much as Dino Fury as I can, and then just trickle out the reviews, and we'll talk about them live each and every week as they drop on Nickelodeon. All right. Power Rangers Legacy. Do you want Tommy to come back for a 30th anniversary? I don't need him to. No, I don't need him to. No disrespect to JDF. I absolutely love the guy. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes back. If he comes back, I mean, that's fine with me as long as he's not the only one coming back and you give other people more shine on screen. I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't think we need Tommy back for everything. But if it's a 30th anniversary, I brought back. Listen, I mentioned, give me Tyler, give me Brody, give me Devin, give me Zato back, and give me a new if you go the Zyuohger route, give me the new Red Ranger there also. I will take that and just completely exclude Tommy and utilize these new characters to help celebrate a 30th anniversary. Maybe even bring back Austin St. John as Jason if you wanted to. We just saw him in Beast Morphers. Why not bring him back also? Give him some shine. I think they can have some fun with it, but we'll see. Yes, my allergies are acting up. Weather's changing around here in Texas. It went from being hot to like that fall season. Anytime the seasons wind up changing, it definitely starts kicking my ass, along with all the animals that we have in this house. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the cat's in here. I think the cat might be outside. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and transition over to your guys' live viewer questions. Let's jump into this. I might have to fly through some of these, so bear with me. Yeah, we got quite a few. Quite a few. Jessica Friedman, has casting started for the new Power Rangers movie? I doubt it. I don't think they've gotten that far yet, but we'll see. Interesting that you bring that up though, because Kiernan Shipka, who was the who played the Sabrina in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, she was on my fantasy casting as the Red Ranger. She just got announced to reprise her role as Sabrina the Witch, from her show. She just got casted again as her character to reprise her role on Riverdale, if I'm not mistaken. So Kiernan Shipkin's a little bit busy right now, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that she does land a spot. Well, Marcelino, you've got a couple of oh, never mind. You did warn me about that you did have the A plus hero report question, so I will skip those. Um, let's see here. Marcelino Vasquez, since Lord Zed is going to get a new voice actor, and you expressed your opinion that you do not like the previous recast, especially since no one could replace Robert Axelrod, what would you be open to if the production team instructed the new voice actor to act less like Robert Axelrod's Lord Zed and just utilize Lord Zed as how he portrayed the character, similar to when Vivian from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was recast and beginning Janet Hubbard's Vivian was more career oriented and tough, while later on Daphne Maxwell was more family oriented and reserved. Um, I don't one of the things that I also said was, if they are going to go this route and they are going to bring in a voice actor, It's got to be a good one, man. It's got to be a good one. Um, it's it. They can bring in any voice actor that they want to, but they just have to be able to really carry the gravitas of what Lord Zed brings when he's on the screen. Nothing wrong with them adding their own little personal flair. And I know we have had, comedy Lord Zed before, especially after his marriage with Rita, some lightheartedness in there, sort of thing. But if Rita's not around and he's just a straight up villain, I need them to be able to carry that same energy that Robert Axelrod would have brought. It doesn't necessarily have to ultimately sound like him, but I definitely want that same type of level of gravity or like gravitas and energy. And if they can capture that and make it believable for me, then they've got my attention. But based off of the voice actor selection that they wind up having from Beast Morphers when we had that Making Bad episode, please do, oh God, let's not go down that route because that was cringeworthy on my ears. So if you're gonna bring back Lord Zed, you got to have somebody that's going to be able to embody him. Just the energy and presence and gravitas. Everything else, I'm perfectly okay with. But you got to make him a threat, and you got to make him sound like he's a threat for sure. Before it was announced that Izzy would be LGBTQ, how come you mainly speculated that Izzy and Amelia would be LGBTQ, but that none of the guys would be? I don't know, just something I was feeling. Just something I was feeling based off of maybe some of the acting, the performances, some of the dialogue that we had seen already, right? I mean, Javi certainly could be. Zato, I mean, who knows? Zato's an alien. Who knows what his sexual orientation sort of fluctuates to, sort of thing. Seeing Ollie, being open and game for hey, let's play up this whole me and Amelia being in a relationship sort of thing. And I think the way that Amelia reacted kind of, maybe hinted at something for me at the time. Again, this was really early on in the season, but those are just the first ones that I came to. It's one of those things where everybody certainly deserves to be represented, and I'm definitely not trying to take anything away, but it always feels like, and I don't know if this is just the issue that maybe that like Hollywood or TV gets into, but I always feel like that transition, like if you are going to introduce somebody like as the first ever sort of thing, maybe it's an easier pill for people to swallow if it's like a female instead of a guy coming out. I don't know. Maybe that's just, that's just the mentality that I have. Not that I could care less, honestly, but I just think the idea of like if they are going to tackle the idea of somebody in the LGBTQ community being relate like being introduced for the very first time, it felt like it's for the general public of accepting this a little bit more. Maybe that's something that they're a little bit more comfortable with seeing on screen. You know what I mean? That's probably where my first main speculation probably came from. Yeah, I'm cool with whatever they decide to do. Javi rocking that earring on TV on in this episode too looked great. But who knows? But yeah, that's the only reason why I was speculating for those two. I know that Power Rangers doesn't need adapted Super Sentai to survive, and I'm open to a Power Rangers season with all original footage that isn't based on a previous Sentai season. But I've always liked it more when the production team had to work around a Sentai season. I know you said multiple times that you wanted less Japanese footage and less Sentai adaptations because the writers that write characters the way that want to write. Hold on. Because the writers that write characters the way that they want to write characters, but have to be restricted to pre-existing material. But I always find it fun that way. I always thought it would give the writers more of a challenge, and whenever there was something in Sentai versions that wouldn't make sense, the Power Ranger version, I would find it interesting to see what the writer's explanation would be. So while I know that Power Rangers doesn't need Sentai to survive, it will be sad because all that creativity that was used the past 30 years will be gone. And listen, I get it. I get the idea that you probably find it fun, but I don't know how much fun the writers find it. I'm sure it's probably a challenge for them for sure, and I'm sure that they're willing to accept that challenge and try and be as creative as they possibly can. But make no mistake, creating original content for them, I'm sure, is just as fun and probably less as hard when it comes to having to really rework your content around other footage. So the less footage that you can utilize, the better for me, honestly. And I think for me, while it is kind of cool to see, yeah, it is a challenge for them, but I almost rather them not have a challenge, because then having a challenge in regards to writing is going to make it difficult to really translate what you want on the big screen or on the television screen, sort of thing. So I think less hindrances, less roadblocks, less conflict would probably allow these writers to be even more creative than it would be necessarily when it comes to adapting Sentai footage. But I get what you're saying. I definitely get what you're saying. It is fun. It is cool to see, ooh, how are they going to adapt this sort of thing? But that's something I almost rather not have to worry about and say, hey, you know what? Do you, man? Let's see how creative in your mind you can do things, and how can you get creative, tell an incredible story, and separate yourself from the same formula and tropes that Power Rangers has had for the past 28 years. To me, that, at least to me, that's where even the more fun and creativity certainly comes from. But you're not wrong, Marcelino. I definitely get the reason why people want to continue to see it. Let's see here. Adam Perea says, my thoughts on why Time Force is awesome. He says, why Time Force was a badass series and one of the best post MMPR. Saban and Fox went all out for Time Force. This series was very dark and mature, even for kids at the time, which was phenomenal. The cast was incredible. Customer were incredible, especially when they used Sentai footage of Time Ranger. I love that the show started with an epic courtroom scene with Rancic about to be frozen as an action figure for the rest of his life, though he knew he would escape by an ambush by his daughter Nadira. It was so cool having Jen front and center as the leader of the team, while not as the while as the Pink Ranger, or while not as the Pink Ranger. The epic scene where Rancic presumably kills Alex was a huge surprise that we didn't think would get that in a first episode. Alex dying was the main storyline for Jen when Rancic escaped the year 2001 from 3000. The Rangers being cops were awesome. It was very different with having Jen not accept Wes as the Red Ranger because he looked like Alex, since Wes was his ancestor. Alex and Wes, played by Jason Fout, was fantastic. Definitely showed Jason's acting chops. I love that the series took inspiration from Time Ranger while still being its own thing. Each character got to shine. Eric being the anti-hero was a cool trait for him. I totally agree. He says, which also allowed his Sentai footage to work properly. Eric being a Red Ranger through the Sixth Ranger was very cool and gave us that feeling that he was the opposite of Wes. Love that Wes and Jen started developing feelings for each other and actually revealed them at the end of the series. Eric being bitter at Wes for growing up wealthy was an excellent story arc. Yeah, definitely. Eric using his voice to control his Quantum Rex Zord and his morphers was awesome. The series really tackled heavy topics like racism, terrorism, and poor versus the wealthy. Wes's father definitely changed for the better after learning Wes was a ranger. What I love the most is Eric's ending. Instead of being killed off like his Sentai counterpart, he was temporarily brutally injured and allowed Wes to use his morphers to control the Q-Rex in order to stop Frax from destroying the timeline. In conclusion, the Time Force was an excellent series of Power Rangers after the MMPR era. 100 out of 100. He gets it. All right. Let's see here. Johnny Morero, he's got three questions. The Illuminati and Toku Chris have said that Zyuohger could be the next adaptation for Power Rangers due to possible delay of Jonathan Entwistle's movie reboot. What are your thoughts? I would be okay with it. I personally would. Again, the idea of there being delays, if there are delays with the Jonathan Entwistle stuff, I would say, if anything, you know, I think that's a good thing. I think slow down. I don't, as much as we love to get new information and want things developed quickly and at a very quick pace, that's how we like to intake our content. Um, I think the idea of taking your foot off the pedal and make sure that you're going to make this right is the right way to do it. Because look, guys, there's only but so many chances you get in regards to making something successful. And we talked about this earlier. The 2017 movie, while some people enjoyed it, some people didn't. Got mixed reviews, didn't do too well at the box office. The idea of putting out another Power Ranger movie 5 to 6 years later is a little bit risky. I'm sure people probably still have the taste of the 2017 movie in their mouth, and you don't want to shit the bed again for the second time, because then who's really going to want a Power Ranger movie after that, right? So you got to make sure that this is solid, a rock solid movie. This is another reason why I've been a big proponent of just move this movie over to a streaming service. Avoid the backlash of this movie not doing well um in the box office. I know right now movie goers are going back out to the theaters. We're seeing more and more movies continuing to make money. You know, maybe if the Power Ranger movie were to drop here within like the next year or so, maybe that momentum of people just wanting to get back out into the public and going to the movies, maybe that would be a great way to take advantage of the situation that we find ourselves in right now with these movies bringing in much better money at the box office than they were a year ago with the pandemic. But when you start going out like another 2 years or so, what is the box office situation going to look like? What's the movie theater experience going to sort of look like? And do you have a good enough movie that if you put it out in theaters, that you're going to get your money back? So again, I think the idea of creating content um, over for entertainment one, maybe having somebody purchase out the ass for like a licensing for your Power Ranger movie, maybe paying over the budget amount that you made for it to put it together to produce it. Maybe at least that'll help you get a little bit more of a financial backing and some sort of profit for the movie instead of risking it in the box office. But that's just me. That's just me in regards to how I would like to see it. Don't get me wrong. Do I want a Power Ranger movie on the big screen? Absolutely. But I do think that it is. I do think that it is risky at this point. And they mentioned the idea that maybe Snake Eyes might have delayed that because of the fact that Snake Eyes didn't go over so well. Now, while Snake Eyes was created over at Paramount, we're not dealing with the same writers here. So maybe we have much better writers on board with this movie. I also do think that when it comes to Transformers, I think that might say something too about the direction. Like Snake Eyes, maybe not necessarily the greatest film. I think the box office and the mixed reviews showcase that. They probably can't afford Transformers to be crappy either. Their Rise of the Beasts movie. So I think we've got both of those movies that could change the trajectory of Power Rangers and how invested, I don't want to say how invested Hasbro is, but them just making sure that they've got all their T's crossed and their I's dotted before just putting a movie out there. You know what I mean? And while again, Snake Eyes is a completely different movie, completely different brand, you have a completely different set of eyes at Entertainment One compared to Paramount that's actually putting this movie together. I still think that while you do have different people working on this Power Ranger stuff, this not so well success of Snake Eyes might have them just making sure that they know what they're doing, you know what I mean, and trying to take their time. So if Zyuohger is meant to be that's series to kind of keep Power Rangers going as is until they're ready to unveil their stuff, I'm completely okay with that. I'm completely okay with that. Um, are you still excited for the rest of Dino Fury coming to Netflix next Friday? I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped, man. I cannot wait to see how this season evolves. Just seeing episode 12 again, just the idea of, even though this episode was meh to me, it doesn't really do didn't really floor me or anything, nothing to really write home about. I did think they did a great job in regards to growing the Izzy character, in regards to showing her personality, her morals, her values, and also introducing us to some supporting characters outside of the Rangers, that they can build friendships on, and maybe more things come out of it. But I do think that goes a significantly long way. But yeah, I'm really eager for the remainder of this season. And even though I haven't been spoiled by too much outside of the Izzy episode later on and maybe the Lord Zed stuff, from everything that I've been hearing when it comes to season one, it's been fantastic. I've seen nothing but praise for Simon Bennett. For those that have seen the international spoilers and international episodes, just praising Simon Bennett and his cast and crew for what they've done. So I definitely do think that they've got something special here lined up for us. And it has had me wondering, because people have been asking, like, oh, do you think Lord Zed's going to be the main villain of the season? And I'm wondering to myself, like, why are people asking that question going into season two? And I wonder if it has anything to do with Void Knight and maybe the lack of footage that Void Knight has in Real Soldier. Because in Real Soldier, Void Knight, or I should say Guy Sorg, goes out of this series like halfway through, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Nada survives very long in this series. So maybe it's limited footage that they certainly have. And I'm wondering if something happens to Void Knight by the end of season one, if his story gets told, but there's a bigger picture that winds up unfolding or unraveling for a second two in their second season. And maybe there's another villain involved as the main bad guy. Not to say that I thought Void Knight would be the main bad guy the entire time, because we had Precious from Real Soldier that still hasn't been revealed. So I do know that there is another bad guy that's about to get involved. But I am interested to see where the Void Knight storyline goes, not only, especially for the second half of this season. Johnny also says, if a Zyuohger adaptation happens, what do you want to see from it? If anything, maybe some past animal connections too, maybe some Beast Morphers connections, maybe some Wild Force connections, right? Any other past Power Ranger series that had animals as its theme, maybe we can have a crossover event or have some familiar faces certainly returning, minus Cole. Okay, anybody else? I'm perfectly okay with the idea of certainly having back. But there's a whole bunch of things that they can certainly do with it. Again, it because of the fact that I haven't watched all of Zyuohger, I can't really give you a full on Zyuohger adaptation as to the little things that I would certainly like to see. But I think if anything, it would be fun to kind of bring back maybe the animal models and the animal designs and stuff, have them as like an alien planet. I mean, I feel like we've seen, I Blossom referred to that in this earlier in her live chat about maybe making like the animals aliens from like another planet or something. I would be cool with that idea. Um, yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. A couple things they can definitely do for sure. We got an evil villain too, an evil ranger that they can play around with if they wanted to. Ram Jam, what's up, Ram Jam? He says, how's it going, Adam? Hope you're having an awesome day. I can't stay tuned into today, but I'm very busy packing up. I'm going to be moving to Calgary. Oh, wow. Hey, man, good luck on the move. That's a big move. Let me know how Calgary is. I've always wanted to visit Canada. I hear everybody up there is super nice and super welcoming. Probably not a bad decision to go move to another country, my guy. But that's pretty cool, Ram Jam. Let me know how the move goes, man. I hope everything goes well. You be safe out there in regards to all that packing and moving and stuff. He says, are you excited about the 10 Gokaiger movie that's that's going to be coming out? Absolutely, man. Again, I praise Gokaiger because it was my first Super Sentai series to jump on board, and I thought it was a great introductory to that franchise in general, and I fell in love with those characters. So to kind of see their continued growth after all these years, it is something that I'm emotionally invested in. With the rumors of Zyuohger being adapted, do you think it will have the same premise as Wild Force? Personally, I think it would be cool if it was the same premise. Yeah, or elaborating on it a little bit more, expanding it. I'm okay. Like I don't mind connections to it. I think if anybody does a great job of making connections, is definitely Simon Bennett to like past seasons and the writers and stuff. They've been doing a great work with that with Dino Fury and Beast Morphers so far. So I don't mind connective tissues. I don't necessarily know if I need the same premise, but something similar would be perfectly fine. Like maybe this is like maybe this series can like elaborate more on the floating island from Wild Force, maybe how it came to be, right? Like maybe there's an even bigger lineage and world building and lore behind it that maybe gets explored and say something like Zyuohger, right? Like the place itself is from like light years away, that we don't know, and eventually its story eventually leads it here to Earth or something like that, right? Maybe all these aliens and these creatures came from a different planet at some particular point in time. Who knows, man? Who knows? But there's a lot of fun I think they can have with Zyuohger and making it connected to other past animal series for sure. Power Rangers Legacy live viewer questions. Thank you very much. What did you like with Dino Charge compared to all of Ninja Steel? I actually like the characters a lot more with Dino Charge. I felt like just their personalities, some of their traits alone, just the way that I don't know, they just felt like a better family when they were connected, better chemistry, always much better teamwork. I always felt like, I don't know, it was just they were just more joyous to watch on screen. I think they just had such great chemistry with one another. Ninja Steel always felt kind of like an awkward bunch at times, honestly, to me. Ninja Steel just felt very much more cohesive, and I always had a fun time with Dino Charge compared to Ninja Steel, unfortunately. But for me, I think the biggest takeaway was just the cast alone. I feel like I miss that Dino Charge cast a lot more than I do Ninja Steel. Yeah, I just think it was just a much better written show too, at least the first season. Why do you think the 95 Power Ranger movie is still beloved by many fans, even though it had issues and not being able to use directly from the movie for the TV show for the ninja stuff? I think it probably because it feels like it still embodies what the TV show is, and it took that concept of the TV show and just blew it up on the big screen. You know, not div- not going too far away from the classic designs or anything like that when it comes to the suits, right? When you saw the suits, you still very much connected them to the television series, but they looked badass in an upgraded form that still holds till today. Like there are still people that would rather prefer those costumes than the ones that we got in the 2017 movie, and I can't argue with them very much. But it just felt like again, it's a cast and crew that we grew up with, right? Even though it's like the second iteration of Ranger characters, they still had a very impactful part of our lives. And so I think the idea of seeing a television show just blown up onto the big screen, still keeping true to its formula and what it is, I think really went a long way in continuing to make that movie still something that people love. It really is a very big nostalgia factor going back to your childhood. And it's got great comedy, some really great lines, I thought, in regards to it, like from Ivan Ooze and stuff. Great villain also. So yeah, not the best movie. It definitely has its issues, right? But damn if it doesn't still make you smile and laugh. And it's still a good movie to sit down and enjoy for sure. How do you like the current Sentai season so far? What do you hope is better for the next series that you already can't stand with Zenkaiger? Um, so Kara Major, I was a big fan of. It was lighthearted enough for me to still enjoy it very much, like as a child, with that sort of lighthearted mindset. But it also had some really great characters with unique personalities. Um, Current themes, right? Like they weren't all high schoolers or anything like that. They all had their own jobs, their own hobbies that they certainly enjoyed that they partook in, which I think made them unique and original in their own sense. But yet again, while it did have that charm and that friendliness and that, that shine and glitter about it, it definitely had amazing battle sequences, Zord sequences. It still dove into some, I don't want to say dark, but semi heavy topics, right? I mean, getting the opportunity to see King Oridon, the fall of a planet, right? The idea of a villain manipulating somebody at a young age. Or being manipulated at a young age, seeing all the animosity that was harbored from family. Like, it's a very personal story. When you dive into Kara Major in regards to like putting family against family, being traitorous and stuff, like it's got a really great balance. So Kara Major for me was a great balance of a season that was fun, dark, but yet really uplifting and freaking charming. So I absolutely loved it. Zenkaiger, on the other hand, like when it comes to Zenkaiger, we have a love-hate relationship for sure. There's sometimes I cannot stand this series. There are other times when I think we've got great episodes. So when it comes to the next series of Sentai, I just don't want so much chaoticness. I would like it to be a little bit more balanced, and that's all that I'm asking for. I don't need 100%, even 100% seriousness. I mean, hell, I'll take it. Don't get me wrong, because I love those type of series. But a well balanced series does go a long way. And for me, this just has not. It's laid very much into toy sales and comedy. And for some people, that's cool. Some people, they love that type of Sentai series, and I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just talking about my own personal choice. Something a little bit more balanced would go a long way, because this series does feel very ADHD to me, very chaotic, very all over the place. With very minuscule storyline arcs to really worry about. A solid one in regards to the Kaido's parents stuff and some of the revelations that we're getting, but when we're not focusing on that, these episodes can be a mess, for sure. But sometimes they have a really good time with diving deep into their themes, which I appreciate from time to time. I do enjoy the dialogue and the witty banter from time to time. But trust me when I say there are moments when it can be a little bit too much, and a little bit nonsensical, and it's just like, what are we doing here, guys? So maybe just something more balanced for me is what I would just ask for next time around. Adam Pereira's got a couple of questions too. Again, it's sorry guys, we're running long today, but I appreciate you guys continuing to stick around, man. I really do. Listen, if you're still here and you haven't hit that like button, smash that like button, guys. It definitely does go a long way. It really helps the algorithm and views for sure. Adam Pereira's got a couple questions. Why do you think Forever Red is considered to be the best anniversary crossover in Power Rangers to this day? And which crossover or team up in Rangers history did you have the most fun with? I think it's because it is just the most epic and most ambitious crossover that they've ever done. I mean, think about this for a second, right? The idea of literally getting almost every Red Ranger from Wild Force all the way back to past seasons. That's a heavy task. That's a big task to ask anybody. And to be able to do it in your own creative way. I mean, second unit director killed it in regards to just the fight choreography. Stunt coordinator came through with some great stunt suggestions. I mean, they went balls to the walls, not only with the storyline, but the action. And I think also just showcasing the case of family and camaraderie and how together Power Rangers truly was. It's that aspect of the multiverse that bothered me growing up. It's aspects like Forever Red that showcased to me at an early age. Man, I love the idea of all these Power Rangers taking place in the same universe and in the same world, because you can then easily connect all these Rangers together. They know of each other. They clearly have a history, right? When Carter introduces TJ by his full name as he comes out, putting respect on that man's name, he does that because of the fact that they clearly are friends and they've had times together and stuff, or have met each other in the past. These aren't like, it just doesn't feel like full first time meetings with these Rangers. So the writing was on point, the original footage was on point, the action was incredible, and it was a monumental task in being able to get all these Rangers together that really did it for me, man. And I thought it was just unbelievable. So I think that's why it's still to this day holds up to be one of the best crossovers that we anniversary crossovers that we absolutely have ever had, and why I would love to see more of things like that. But because I think Marcelino, I think it was Marcelino or somebody had asked me about, the fans that weren't open to the idea of there being a multiverse. I was one of those fans because it worried me that we wouldn't be able to get future Forever Reds and team ups similar to that, like that. But you can still do that now. My eyes have clearly been opened. I think again, I mentioned Boom Studios has opened my eyes a little bit more to being accepting of that. Beast Morphers, I thought, did a really good job of branching out that world into a more multiversal aspect, still being able to travel between dimensions and stuff. So you still can have those big crossovers, but I just don't feel like we've had it utilized as great as we certainly did when it came to Forever Red. And I think that's why it holds up so incredibly well, man. I would love to see that type of effort put back into another crossover again. If James Gunn were ever to ever work on bringing Kamen Rider back to the US, make it more mainstream and rated R James Gunn fashion, what would you like him to tackle that even Kamen Rider in Japan hasn't done yet? You think he could perhaps maybe even make better suits, especially if he wants to do all original footage? I think James Gunn would crush a Kamen Rider movie for sure. I do think they probably could make better suits, more original footage here. Listen, Kamen Rider's got some brilliant suits. I'm not taking anything away from their costume design team. But the U.S. costume designers ain't too bad themselves. You know what I'm saying? I've seen some badass suits on the big screen, on television, from DC television to Marvel Studios, costumes. I mean, you name it. We're not too shabby in creating costumes ourselves. Unfortunately for me, though, since I am not too familiar with Kamen Rider as a franchise in Japan in regards to some of the things that it has tackled, I don't really know what's missing or that it hasn't tackled. So I will revert that question back to you guys. If there's something that Kamen Rider in Japan hasn't tackled, what would you guys personally like to see James Gunn tackle in in Kamen Rider if he were ever able to go ahead and create a Kamen Rider movie? I would love to see it. He's a huge fan. I would love to see it. What do you remember about the rated R fan film of Power Rangers that came out on YouTube that had a lot of PR fans go crazy? Do you think perhaps that inspired the real Power Ranger movie in 2017? What aspects do you wish that movie brought over that wasn't too gritty but very cool? So yeah, I do remember the rated R film. I thought they did a really good job with it. They even got Katie Sackhoff in there, which I thought was a really big win. That homeboy from fucking Dawson's Creek was in there too. Was he Billy? Did he play Billy? I can't remember who he portrayed. But I thought Katie Sackhoff did an awesome job as pretending to be Kimberly, but then revealing her true intentions towards the end. I mean, like the fact that it was not only dark and gritty, but even had like a little bit of a twist and swerve at the very end, I thought was absolutely brilliant. So I really enjoyed it. I definitely didn't. I will say this. I think if anything, watching it, it did showcase to me, I really would not mind a gritty Power Ranger movie or TV series like this. I don't necessarily know if I need it to be rated R though. Like I can do without all the violence and blood and stuff. I can do with all that. But it definitely showcased the possibilities of what Power Rangers could certainly be, to certainly say the least. But I thought it was great though. I mean, maybe it did inspire it in regards to the 2017 movie, in regards to at least introducing us to something a little bit more grounded, right? Like the idea of doing a grounded Power Ranger content could happen. That it could happen. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry guys. I hope I didn't like blow a bunch of just snot all over the place. I tried to hit that boom. You know what I'm saying? That elbow. All right, let's see here. On Doomsday, do you think that Chance Perez, I'm sorry. Do you think that Chance Simpson, the original Ninja Steel Yellow, and Alexandra Nunez will ever return to Power Rangers? Um, if I had to if I had to make a bet, probably not. No. Um, I mean, listen, if they want to try again, more power to them. But I got to think the idea of being on the cusp of being a Power Ranger, but then being pulled off of being a Power Ranger has gotta hurt, has gotta make you feel some sort of negativity towards the brand, being that close, right? And then last minute being shifted. If anything, I would probably just change my mind and be like, you know what, that's okay. I'm just gonna go after something else. But listen, maybe there is something in failing and coming back stronger and trying again. Who's to say that they haven't tried to um audition for other Power Ranger stuff in the future? But yeah, probably for me, I don't think they will. Regardless of what Simon Bennett said, which of the unadapted Sentai seasons do you think should absolutely get adapted? I don't think anything needs to get adapted, so I'm not going to go the absolutely should get adapted sort of thing. I don't think anything needs to get adapted. Things that I would like to see get adapted. Definitely, probably. I already named them. My top three would be definitely Karamager, Zyuohger, and Q Ranger would be my three that I would like to see adapted. Um, what route that they go, who certainly knows. But those would be my three that I would love to see adapted. I don't think anything should get adapted, nor do I want to have that type of mentality like you've got to do this. If you don't, you suck. You know what I mean? Because there are some people out there that do have that mentality. I'm honored if they want to go ahead and actually adapt something. We're also privileged to have that opportunity for them to want to further adapt some stuff. So I think we should be definitely grateful for what we certainly do get. But if I had my choice, probably out of those three. Would it be cool if Power Rangers did 10 years later movies, kind of like they did, like how Toei does? I think it would be very cool. I think one, it would continue to show your actors that they are valuable to this franchise and that they mean something to you, and that continuing to maybe have projects for them to certainly work on in the future. I think that would be pretty cool. AJ, he's got a couple questions. You know how we have the DC franchise, the Arrowverse, DC Universe, and then the DCEU for movies. Do you think that's what we might be getting with Jonathan Entwistle and Hasbro in the future? Why do you think DC has been so successful for the most part, when it comes to catering two different universes on a small screen and a big screen? Well, um, couple things. Why do I think DC has been so successful? I don't think they've been that successful. I think they've been very hit or miss. When it comes to the small screen TV universe, I think they have been successful. They definitely have grown themselves a huge Arrowverse, so that definitely has been successful. DCEU, very hit or miss. Clearly, they definitely have been having some hiccups behind the scenes. New management having to kind of come into town and redo everything. So they definitely are behind the eight ball when it comes to that. But I think they've done a good job of at least building up these universes that they've established. It's just a matter of making everything a little bit more coherent. But yeah, I do think that that's something similar to what Jonathan Entwistle and them could be doing, really creating a big cinematic universe that's meant to connect everything together, and that's exactly the route that Jonathan Entwistle certainly wants to go. Like, I'm sure the television show that they're creating is probably going to be connected to the movie or events that happen into the movie. It wouldn't surprise me if future kid iterations of the show also, in bigger scope, connect to maybe the events from the movie or other series and things like that. So I do think that Jonathan Entwistle is creating a bigger sort of connective tissue universe when it comes to Power Rangers going forward for this reimagining. So, I don't necessarily know if it's going to turn into something as big and grandiose as like the MCU. Baby steps, though, baby steps. But it could be very similar to something along those lines that they're trying to build. Like the idea of at least having something in the animated realm, something in the kid live action, young adult slash, adult live action, and movie stuff. And I think for me, that just speaks volumes to branching out your content and reaching different demographics, right? You got a grown up fan base of Power Ranger fans that watched from the beginning that now are craving for more young adult or adult content, that you have to start creating for. You got a brand new group of Power Ranger fans that you got to create new original content for. Kids that still watch Power Rangers, you got to create content for them too. So why not do all of that, but make them connect still together in the overall bigger picture and scheme of things? I think it's smart. And I think that's how you maximize getting your return on Power Rangers, by making content that's available for everybody and not just one niche demographic. You got to expand it. You got to expand it. As I write this, I have not watched episode 12 on Nickelodeon. I'm waiting for Netflix to release it. So without spoiling anything, would I? Well, what did you think of episode 12? It was just okay. It was just meh. It was just okay to me. I won't say anything more than that. I felt like you probably spoiled you already if you watched me at the top of the show. If not, I'll just say the episode was meh. Why did you think? Why do you think that the Six Rangers are always the ones that have the dopest suits than the main team? And what do you miss about the Six Rangers from the past and hope we get with Ion? Um, I don't know. I think that maybe they just want to hit you with a bang or something, in regards to why Six Rangers always have the dopest suits. Um, I always saw the Six Rangers as a power up for the team. Getting to that point in the season where maybe the villains are getting a little bit more difficult or tougher. So we need a new heavy hitter that has more abilities that maybe we don't have. So showcasing that, and not only new weapons, but also a really dope ass suit, I think is a really great way to showcase that too. So I think Six Rangers come with a lot of importance, and it helps lift up the rest of the team too. Let's see here. We got two more sets of questions. L'Oreal, what do you expect to happen if they ever adapt Zyuohger? I have no idea. I need to finish watching that season. I truly do. If they're not adapting Zyuohger, my friend and I will call them Wild Guardians. I dig it. I dig the term Wild Guardians for sure. But what do I expect to happen if they ever adapt Zyuohger? Then I'm definitely looking for a Wild Force reunion. Definitely an anniversary in some case or another. I want to see the anniversaries episode. I almost want to go back now, watch Zyuohger, just so I can get a glimpse of this anniversary and see what all it entails, what past Rangers wind up popping up, because I'm unfamiliar, unfortunately, as of right now. What's the best part about the new episode? For me, probably Izzy standing up for what's right, holding somebody very evil accountable for their wrong ways, um, and really stepping up as a leader in the sense of wanting to train, this new group. Um, I think this episode really showcased her values and her morals. So I really appreciated that in this episode. Did you see the second part of Yodana's spinoff yet? I have not. I have it available to me. Somebody did notify me that the second part was available. So I have downloaded it. I have not watched it yet. So I will watch it. Hopefully, I'll have that up for you guys within the next week or two. So the second part will be here soon. And last sets of questions from Adrian Perez. What's up, Adrian? He says, I heard that there are potential rumors of the new Sentai adaptation after Dino Fury. Does this mean Toei and Hasbro split might not end? What other seasons would you like to get adapted if possible, especially if it means Hasbro needs to spend money on? So as of right now, what I'm hearing is that the Toei and Hasbro split, again, just rumors, but what I'm hearing is the fact that that is still happening. The Hasbro and Toei split as of right now still plans on happening, but because of the fact that Hasbro at least owns the rights up until Real Soldier, it means that they can still go ahead and utilize past Super Sentai teams if they want to, which would then open up the door possibly for Zyuohger, considering the fact that the two shows that were up for adaptation at the time was Real Soldier or Zyuohger, and they decided to go with Real Soldier. So it's the idea that it's a possibility that they may circle back around and tackle Zyuohger also, since that was their second choice of adaptation. So if anything, that's what I'm hearing, that because they own the rights up to Real Soldier, that the Hasbro and Toei split is still going forward for the future. But because they own the rights, they can still use Zyuohger if they certainly want to. Now, whether or not that means just utilizing the suits and making all original footage, or still utilizing a very sparingly amount of Super Sentai footage for a possible Zyuohger adaptation, anything is possible at this time. But yes, I have heard of it. But yeah, that's why that's the news that I'm personally hearing. So yeah, that would be the season that I would love to see, because that would technically eliminate Kara Major along with Zyuohger, and we've already heard Simon Bennett with some pushback against Lupin Pat, along with what was the other one? Why am I drawing a blank? Q Ranger. Q Ranger. Why do you think the Train Super Sentai series was so popular, and how exactly were the adult Rangers able to interact with their younger selves while not messing up the timeline, unless Sentai has no real timeline at all? Well, I think I think they interacted with their younger selves like later in the season, right? So I think some shit probably had went down with the Rainbow and Shadow line to kind of maybe blend things a little bit. I feel like the end of Tokuja was a definitely went their own liberties in regards to certain things. But at least with the adults interacting with their younger selves. Um, I don't know what I think for me. Why do you think the Train Super Sentai series was so popular? I think the idea of imagination really went a long way. I think it was super creative and unique and different at the time. I don't think they had ever tackled trains as a theme, so a lot of originality I think went into Tokuja that really stands it out for me. Yeah, the trains as a concept I think was original. I can't recall another train season. You had the theme of imagination, which I don't recall another series really tackling. You also had really unique morphers in the sense that you get the opportunity to change your train line, which means you get to change your own colors also, and swap out weapons and colors and stuff too. That certainly did it. And I think also the idea that it's not just the trains that made it popular, although trains are a very big, important part of Japanese culture. But I also think you had not only some great main characters, but you gave the shadow line, the villains, some really impressive storytelling also, just as important as the heroes, if not more. And we got ourselves an orange ranger in that sense also, with the sixth ranger too. So some really great unique stuff, I think, overall, that made Tokuger super special, and rather successful. But that's just my opinion. For the next Super Sentai series, what do you want that's different or better than the current one, running one? I hear the current series is a mixed bag. It definitely is, and really, the only thing different that I would like to see is just a more balance. More balance. Nothing wrong with humor. Nothing wrong with comedy, witty banter, but balance it out with more storytelling, and maybe more charm and well, I don't want to say charm, because I feel like Zenkaiju does have its fair share level of charm, but definitely a little bit more balance of villains, characters, storylines, um, stakes. All that really does go a long way. So something just a little bit more balance is all I'm asking for. All right, guys. I think other than that, I think that is going to do it for us in regards to all of our questions, in regards to the live viewer questions, guys. So thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, let me see. Just quick shout outs to some people that didn't get shouted out earlier, because I do know that we had some people come in last minute. Let's see here. Who else did I miss? What's up, AZ? AZ Shack. Wishing season 2 in Dino Fury we have 1 minute intro and longer episodes. That would be great. Don't know if that's going to happen. I still feel like they probably will stick to the same formula that they had in filming season 1, but everything just on season 2 on Netflix. But I think the filming and stuff will probably be the same. But I could be wrong, AZ. But good to see you in here, man. Good to see you in here. Power Rangers Ready says, would you like to see Zyuohger give us an evil ranger and all new original footage? Yeah, definitely a possibility of them doing that if they want to. It's tailor made for an evil ranger if they wanted to expand the story just a little bit. What's up, Elliot? Good to see you in here, Elliot. Thank you very much for certainly coming through today. Adam says, did you remove the Dino Fury spoiler logo? No, just for the. I forgot to add it for the live viewer questions, so I'm probably going to keep it up there for the live viewer questions. Neo, what's up, Neo? Talking about Kamen Rider, how would you think they adapt Ghost into a Zyuohger adaptation? Unfortunately, I haven't watched Kamen Rider Ghost. My Kamen Rider knowledge is very limited, by the way, so I do apologize about that, man. That's definitely a question I can't necessarily ask or answer. Power Rangers Legacy. What if Michael Bay made a Power Ranger movie or Kamen Rider? Would you be worried? Yes, absolutely worried. Keep him away from my franchises. Yusai says, honestly, that rated R Power Ranger fan film was cool, but it's not Power Rangers. I know some people really vibe with it, but not everything needs to be dark and gritty to be good. It felt like a gimmick. I definitely get what you're saying, Yusai, for sure. I mean, I personally enjoyed it, but that's what I was saying. Like, I don't mind something being dark and gritty. That's cool. I mean, I think if anything, it showcases that you probably can create something like that, but I don't know if it needs to be that dark and violent. That doesn't feel like Power Rangers to me, but there are aspects that certainly did that I really appreciate, at least storyline wise, that I appreciate it. Like seeing Zach wake up with like all those fine ass chicks in his bed. Like, what is going on here, Zach? Okay, okay, definitely putting down that hip hop keto. Tyson says, what is the Super Sentai with the 12 Rangers? That's Q Ranger. Q Ranger is what they're referring to there. Appreciate you coming through, Tyson. Power Rangers Ray says, do you wish we would get a small handoff with Dino Fury for the next adaptation? That's one reason why I was suggesting giving us something like a Super Sentai Strongest Battle adaptation, but for the US. I think it would be a really cool handoff if they did something like that between Dino Fury and maybe a potential Zyuohger adaptation. I think that would be a really utilizes a great handoff. All right, guys. Other than that, I think that's going to do it for us here. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly coming through today. So thank you very much, guys, for your patience, hanging around with us for such a long time. I feel like this is probably one of the longer episodes that we've certainly have had. If anything, I'm probably going to rip this Dino Fury review out and make it as its own separate video as well for you guys this weekend if you wanted to come back and tackle just the Dino Fury stuff. But I'll also go ahead and update the timeline for this episode, since it's so long, to at least segment the topics that we certainly talked about, so you guys can pick and choose whichever you decide to go ahead back and revisit at any particular point in time, guys. So yeah, I'm pumped, guys. Dino Fury is certainly back. Remember, October 15th, Friday, the second half of season 1 drops, episode 12 through 22 on Netflix next Friday. Certainly go ahead and join them then. But of course, our episode 13 review will be airing for you guys on our next episode of A Plus More Phenomenal. So definitely join us live next Saturday at noon Central Time, guys. Other than that, that is going to go ahead and do it for us here today. So thank you very much for joining me. We'll certainly see you guys next time. But in the meantime, as always, do us a big favor around here. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And until next time, keep it A plus. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.